Chapter 949. In the distance, Thunder Emperor was shocked as he saw this. He fiercely pulled the chains in his hands and retracted the 4 chains. A frontal attack? Thunder Emperor couldn't believe it. Didn't they say that the human was forced to flee by the White Bone Emperor? This chain of his was a precious treasure that he had painstakingly obtained in the ice purgatory all those years ago. It possessed boundless might and could be split into multiple chains, or it could also be combined into one. Combine! The chains on the 4 arms of the rolling Thunder Monarch quickly connected with each other and shrank, quickly turning into an ordinary-looking mottled chain. Howl! The illusionary beast god roared as it rushed over. That scaled tail that was even longer than the beast god's body made Thunder Emperor tense up. Lightning whip! The Thunder King roared furiously and fiercely waved the mottled chain in his hand. Whoosh! The chain seemed to slowly cut through the space. As it flew and cut through the space, the flow of time in different areas that the chain passed through changed. The powerful destructive power formed by the time disorder was also added to the mottled chain. The slow chain was even faster than the illusory beast deity. Pung! 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 Space itself exploded inch by inch. The scaled tail swiftly lashed out. It was indeed as fast as a shooting star, forcefully lashing against the mottled chain. One was infused with the destructive force of time and thunder. The chain was a treasure that was even more suited for time and thunder. The other was infused with the tyrannical power of space and gold. 16 stars. Each of them were treasures no weaker than the chain. After merging with the scroll, the 16 stars became one. Rumble! It was a hard clash. The chain was immediately knocked away. In mid-air, the scaled tail whip was as fast as lightning and swiftly swept past Thunder Emperor. No matter how fast the rushing Thunder King was, he could not outrun the illusory beast deity. Unable to put up any resistance, his divine body was directly torn apart by the whip's shadow. The 16 stars in the tail whip's shadow flickered faintly, and when they came into contact with the fragments of his divine body, the rushing Thunder King's divine body was corroded, and he was instantly injured. Ah! Bastard! Thunder Emperor's body condensed, and he immediately extended his hand to retrieve the chain. At the same time, he stared furiously at Luo Feng. Human! I will remember this grudge. The Thunder Monarch immediately turned into a streak of light and tried to escape. Trying to escape? It won't be that easy. Luo Feng didn't give chase from afar. However, with a thought from his spirit energy, the illusory beast god moved with terrifying speed and blocked the Thunder King's path. That terrifying scaled tail once again swept towards the Thunder King. Despicable human, you are forcing me! The rushing Thunder King let out a furious roar. Boom! His aura skyrocketed, and his might became 1,000 times stronger. With a casual sweep of the chain in his hand, the illusory beast deity that was charging at him shattered, and the 16 stars were sent flying. The Thunder King is burning his divine body. The Thunder King was actually forced to burn his divine body. The distant ice prison warriors who were secretly watching the battle were all stunned. Back then, Luo Feng, who could only flee from White Bone Emperor, was actually able to force Thunder Emperor to flee. This was too exaggerated. Interesting. Now, even that human will have to ignite his divine body. The Thunder King ignited his divine body to increase his power. That human's power is very close to the Thunder King's, at most a little stronger. He has to ignite his divine body, otherwise he won't be the Thunder King's match. That human is stupid. Since the Thunder King wants to escape, let him escape. Why must he stop him? Isn't he just forcing each other to risk their lives? Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. This Thunder King was actually igniting his divine body. However, he himself couldn't ignite his divine body. Thunder King, you can leave now. Luo Feng flapped his wings and became a streak of light swiftly escaping. Simultaneously, He waved his hand and the 16 stars flew back into his palm. Despicable human. The Thunder King held the chain and stomped with his 4 hooves, causing the space to constantly explode. His speed was terrifying as he rushed towards Luo Feng. Xiao! 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 The space became twisted and twisted. The moment Luo Feng's speed exploded, especially the instant he changed directions, it was terrifying. One could clearly see with the naked eye that the distance between the Thunder King and Luo Feng was getting further and further. Even though the Thunder King was igniting his divine body, his instantaneous burst and change speed was still far from Luo Feng's. Impossible. How? Ice prison first, ice prison first. In the distance, the ice prison warriors watching were all dumbstruck. You want to escape now? It's too late. The Thunder King was raging. His aura was strong and explosive. His 4 hooves stomped in space as he chased Luo Feng. He wanted to unleash his time stop. However, the distance between him and Luo Feng was getting further and further. He had no confidence in unleashing his time stop on the human. Time stop was very powerful. However, its limitations were very strong. Like the space lock, once the ripples of space were locked, then no matter how intense the battle was, it wouldn't affect the space lock. However, time stop was different. The moment it was used on a certain area, then all life forms within that area would be affected. Other than the soul and consciousness, everything else would be restricted and unable to move. To struggle and break apart normally required time. This amount of time was more than enough for a warrior to kill his opponent. First unleashing the time stop and then killing the immobilized opponent, how powerful was that? However, firstly, this move would receive a huge backlash from the warrior's body and weapon. To suppress Luo Feng, one had to shrink the time stop area. The smaller the area, the stronger the restriction on the area. Secondly, to unleash this move, it had to be used on the enemy's area. However, Luo Feng was a spirit reader. His spirit energy was constantly released. The moment he felt Thunder King's god energy surge over, Luo Feng would definitely be alerted. With Luo Feng's instantaneous movement speed, Thunder King didn't even have the time to unleash the time stop and still ensure that Luo Feng was within that area. Now that his body was ignited, his power soared. Thunder King could unleash the time stop on a large area around Luo Feng. However, Luo Feng was smart too. He fled far away. The distance between them was too far. Plus the restriction on the ice prison was already very strong. Unleashing the time stop from a long distance was much harder. Cunning and despicable human. Thunder King raged. He didn't even think of killing the human. He only wanted to force him to ignite his body. However, he didn't expect the human to not even ignite his body. He didn't want to lose out at all. Damn! Thunder King immediately became a beam of light and flew into the distance. In the blink of an eye, he vanished. Northern Ice Prison. Within the palace at the peak of the ice mountain. Is what you said true? The tall silhouette that had been sitting silently for a long time stood up. Master, I'm not wrong. That human is currently battling with Thunder King. Master, we have to rush over. If we're late, their battle will end. The black armored servant knelt there and communicated anxiously. He didn't want to waste time talking, because he was very clear on how fast an absolute warrior's battle was. Bring me there. Silver I took a step and arrived before the black armored servant. He grabbed him. Yes, master. The black armored servant immediately teleported and headed towards the battlefield. In the air above the ice ocean, the spectating alien race experts had already begun to return to their bases. However, this battle had caused them to sigh in amazement. That human was too arrogant. He actually defeated the rushing Thunder Monarch and forced him to burn his divine body. The most sinister thing is that this human actually escaped without burning his divine body. The rushing Thunder Monarch must be furious. The 10 king-conferred experts are roughly equal in strength, and it is rare for anyone to suffer a loss. This time, the rushing Thunder Monarch suffered a huge loss. That human is really fast. Even if Thunder King ignited his divine body, he couldn't catch up to him. When the alien race experts began to return, they suddenly felt a terrifying energy wave that made their hearts tremble. Instantly, they all rose to the ice layer and peeked their heads out to take a look. At a glance, in the distant sky above the ice ocean stood a towering, snow-white figure. The boundless energy that he emitted caused the alien race experts to feel somewhat dazed. Silver Eye. It's Silver Eye. Northern Ice Hell Lord, Silver Eye. This group of alien race experts who had lived in the prison of ice for countless years had long forgotten much about the outside world. They only knew that those who stood at the peak of the prison of ice were the 5 magnates, and Silver Eye was one of the most terrifying of them all. It was said that other than the other 4 magnates, as long as any alien race expert was in front of Silver Eye, he would open his eyes. If they were seen by the legendary Silver Eye, then they would die without a doubt. Luckily Silver Eye knew that killing all the weaklings wouldn't be enough. Most of the numbers were split among the 5 tycoons. He didn't want the ice hell to be too empty, hence he couldn't be bothered with the weaklings. Luo Fengjing exclaimed within, "The difference between the ice hell warriors and the warriors of the outside world is very obvious from Thunder King. For a warrior like Thunder King, if he was in the outside world, he would definitely have many treasures, or at least a protective treasure on him. If he had a protective treasure, then he wouldn't have been so easily pierced by my stars and corroded his divine body. However, the treasures in the ice hell are obviously much rarer. They are all treasures brought over by the over 10,000 absolute warriors that have been imprisoned over the years." While exclaiming, Luo Feng was about to fly away. However, suddenly, a strong energy emanated from ahead. Luo Feng looked up. A 30 tall, dressed in snow-white armor god stood silently in the distant space. His forehead had a huge scar. He had a mouth and a nose, but no eyes. Even though he was just standing there, he emitted an aura that made Luo Feng's heart go cold. Desolation. That was absolute loneliness, coldness, desolation. The space ripples around him completely stopped. Silver Eye, one of the 5 tycoons. Unique life form Silver Eye. Luo Feng's expression immediately changed. He could feel how terrifying Silver Eye was when he understood the basic information. However, the moment he saw it with his own eyes, not knowing why, he felt a strong sense of danger within. Undefeatable! Undefeatable! Danger! Danger! Human! Hand over the virtual universe's anonymous account sensor and I can let you go. Silver Eye stood desolately in the distance. His voice was calm. Behind him stood the black-armored servant respectfully. Chapter 950. A snow-white armored silver pupil stood in mid-air, gazing down at Luo Feng waiting for his reply. Even though Luo Feng felt danger within, his eyes gleamed even brighter. He looked up at the silver pupil. "I don't have the anonymous number sensor, will you let me go? I will kill you and check your world ring." The silver pupil gazed down at Luo Feng and said coldly, "You don't believe me?" Luo Feng said, "There's no one in the ice prison that I trust, other than my servants." The silver pupil said slowly. Beside, the black-armored servant stared at Luo Feng enraged. "Human, hurry and hand over the anonymous number sensor. If you don't, or if you don't admit it, then the master will definitely kill you. Don't say you don't have one, we don't believe you." Luo Feng nodded. "Yes, I have an anonymous account sensor." The moment he finished, the silver pupil's energy grew stronger. "But I don't want to hand it over." Luo Feng smiled, revealing his pure white teeth. "You are looking for death." The black-armored servant roared. "Looks like you do." A low voice resounded from the silver pupil. "If you say I'll die, I'll die." Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with a mad fighting spirit. Staring at the silver pupil, the blood in his body boiled and his fighting spirit roared. Back on Earth, against the golden-horned beast, he didn't have any fear at all. Coming to steal the black metal board this time, even knowing that Green Chamberlain and Purple Chamberlain were there, he still dared to go. Right now he had 3 treasures, along with the General Armor and General Soul. His beast god conception had reached level 20, and he had even created his own pinnacle technique. Just a mere invincible king conferred martial king wanted him to flee without a fight? And he even obediently handed over the virtual universe's anonymous accounts censor? What a dream! Fight, fight, fight. The fighting spirit in his chest was boiling. Luo Feng stared at the silver pupil, revealing his snow-white teeth and smiling. Silver pupil, I came to this ice prison to fight against the absolute warriors. Right now, the 10 emperors are no longer a threat to me. My targets are the 5 of you. I want to fight the 5 of you. You, silver pupil. You are the first. Not afraid of death? His silver eyes gazed at Luo Feng. Even though his eyes were closed, every inch of his skin seemed to be watching everything. Just you alone can't kill me. Luo Feng's battle intent soared. At this time Luo Feng wasn't panicking at all, within he was excited and proud. He still remembered back then when he entered Primal Chaos City and became a disciple of his teacher True Yen Emperor. However, in the blink of an eye, 10,000 years had passed and he was about to engage in a life-and-death battle with an absolute being comparable to his teacher True Yen, Silver Eye. This was also the first time he had fought against an expert of this level. Come, let me see just how strong the legendary Invincible Emperor is. Luo Feng howled within. Let me see just how powerful this unique life form is. Luo Feng's fighting spirit was burning, his willpower was unknowingly rising and condensing. Only this kind of battle, where one's life burned and trembled, could truly sharpen the sharpness of an expert. Since you want to die, then die. Silver Pupil said indifferently, under the pitying gaze of the black-armored slave beside. He waved his crystal-clear palm. It was almost like it was carved out of crystal, the moment it waved. Luo Feng felt the space around him change drastically. Shwa! Luo Feng's wings flapped and swiftly fled. Simultaneously 16 black balls appeared in his left palm, swiftly intertwining with tens of thousands of golden threads, beginning to form that beast god illusion. You can't escape. Silver Pupil's voice resounded within the space. A huge palm formed in the space around him. The 1,000 long ice palm immediately flipped and enveloped Luo Feng. What technique is this? A space law type attack? Luo Feng used the Wu killer wings to swiftly dodge, and at the same time, he controlled the illusionary beast god to meet the huge palm head-on. This scene caused Luo Feng to be stunned. Because he thought back to the 3 ancient pictures he had seen back in Blood River World. One of them was the beast god's tail smashing the huge palm. Of course that picture represented 2 beings. One was the beast god and the other was the ultimate eternal being that caused the beast god's death. Those 2 were much stronger than Luo Feng and Silver Pupil. However, the battle scene was very similar. The illusory beast deity waved its scaly tail fiercely in the face of the gigantic ice crystal palm. Rumble! The tail was like a shooting star, smashing heavily into the ice palm. Both of them were over 1,000 long, clashing in mid-air and creating a terrifying shockwave. And the illusionary beast god and the huge palm both trembled simultaneously. The beast god completely crumbled and the 16 black balls swiftly flew towards Luo Feng. As for the huge ice palm, it was almost like a piece of ice with many cracks appearing on it. Silver Pupil, proficient in time laws and space laws. Luo Feng exclaimed. His time laws are much stronger than his space laws, however even the weaker space laws have such power. It's too powerful. Luo Feng could feel that Silver Pupil's god energy was very strong. Just his god energy alone was already over 10 million times that of a sector lord's. Along with his God energy amplification, even though it was just a simple palm, it was able to suppress Luo Feng's strongest attack with his treasure. This was the reason why his foundation was so much stronger. In the distance, Silver Pupil sighed softly. To actually be able to block my palm, not bad, you have the right to be proud. It's not pride, it's confidence. Silver Pupil, don't brag, whatever you have, just use it. Luo Feng opened his wings and stood in the distance. Alright. Silver Pupil looked at Luo Feng. Even though his eyes were closed, Luo Feng indeed felt like he was being stared at by countless eyes. Chi. An ice crystal finger seemed to appear out of nowhere before Luo Feng. One had to know that the surrounding space was already locked and he couldn't teleport. Obviously his time control was extremely terrifying. Luo Feng was about to close his wings. Suddenly, a formless ripple swept past and Luo Feng immediately froze in mid-air. It was time stop. It's time stop. I've been hit. Sad. The distant Silver Pupil sighed. The ice crystal finger that floated in mid-air pierced towards Luo Feng. Break. Luo Feng's willpower and consciousness roared and urged his entire body. The Wu killer wings on his back, the star map in his palm, and the pagoda pearl in his soul were all trembling. Under Luo Feng's terrifying willpower that surpassed most of the knights, the three treasures struggled and almost instantly broke free from the bindings. Break! Luo Feng's willpower roared. The Wu killer wings fiercely blocked the incoming ice crystal finger. A terrifying force passed through the wings and hit Luo Feng's entire body. It made him like a shooting star, immediately flung far away. Luo Feng flew backwards. Within he let out a sigh of relief. Luckily I broke through the time stop at the critical moment. This silver eye is simply too crafty. From the start, that huge palm of his, and that ice crystal finger, they were all formed from God energy from afar. This caused me to not be on guard against the God energy in mid-air, hence I fell for his trick. Of course the main reason he was able to successfully use the time stop and hit me was because of his strength. Even though his God energy pervaded the area, his God energy was at most around his finger. It was still quite far away from me. At such a distance to be able to use the time stop and use it on me. He's much stronger than that Rush Thunder Emperor. I've met over 1,000 strong warriors from other races in the training grounds, and none of them were this strong. Many thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. When Luo Feng was shocked, that Silver Pupil and his underlings were shocked. He actually dodged it. The black-armored servant couldn't believe it. Master's death god finger, how many warriors have died under that finger? This human actually dodged it and forcefully broke free from Master's time stop. How is this possible? And in the distance, scattered throughout the ice prison, the 10 warriors who felt the ripples and were watching the battle were all completely shocked. Before, when Luo Feng was able to block that slap, they were rather calm. After all, Luo Feng was able to suppress the Thunder Emperor. However, when Luo Feng blocked that finger, Death God Finger. Silver Pupil's Death God Finger. Even though Silver Pupil understands the space laws, he's proficient in the time laws. His Death God Finger contains a time attack and a soul attack. First the time stop, then the soul corrosion attack within the finger will quietly corrode the enemy's soul, leaving them defenseless. This human is actually this strong, to be able to withstand that Death God Finger. The silver eyes traversing the ice purgatory has 2 major killing moves. One is the Death God's Finger that he frequently uses, and the other move is the silver eyes that has always been successful. Even the other 4 great leaders have to use all their strength to deal with it. Who knows, I might be able to see that move today. Pitiful human, if Silver Pupil really opens his eyes, then humanity will really be finished. Silver Pupil was shocked too. That seemingly normal finger was actually one of his killing moves. The usage of time stop was exquisite to the extreme, and the soul corrosion was even more sinister. However, this human before him actually managed to break free from the time stop, and in such a short period of time, he was simply too strong. And when that ice crystal finger touched the human, obviously the soul attack had already begun, yet it didn't have any effect. What a sinister move. It's a pity it's useless. Luo Feng floated in mid-air, his wings extended. Silver Pupil, what other moves do you have? Use them all. Even though his attacks were weak, his defense was extremely strong. His body's defense was extremely strong, and his soul defense was even more heavenly. This made Luo Feng mutter, even though his attacks couldn't compare to the opponent's, in terms of defense, the opponent couldn't do anything to him. Human, your strength is indeed very strong. As long as you can block this attack of mine, I'll immediately leave. Silver Pupil said slowly. In the ice prison, those that have seen this move, other than the other 4 tycoons, have all died. This move is called Silver Eye Gaze. Hua! The horizontal mark on his forehead slowly opened. The flow of time was changing, and space itself was trembling. Chapter 951. His powerful god body caused the time flow around him to be affected, especially the energy ripples caused by the special ability hidden within his body was unleashed, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Silver white eyes, only the whites of the eyes had no pupils. Staring at Luo Feng. Chi. 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 The powerful god power contained in the silver eyes caused the space around them to explode inch by inch. Furthermore, an eye appeared on every inch of the skin of the 30-meter-tall, crystal-clear body of the silver eyes. His entire body was covered in eyes, as long as the skin was not covered by the snow-white armor. Countless snow-white eyes, however, on his face was the strongest silver-white eye, glowing with a silver light. Rumble! The moment he opened his eyes, the formless god energy immediately rushed into Luo Feng's body. No wonder I felt like this silver eye had countless eyes staring at me, so his entire body was covered in eyes. Just what special life form is he? That was what Luo Feng thought the moment he saw the silver white eye. Following which, the attack had already entered his body, piercing through the Wu killer wings and general armor. The terrifying power of the silver eye gaze was still terrifyingly strong. His soul beast god roared, however it was like a breeze, unable to shake this formless attack at all. Rumble! It immediately affected his soul. Luo Feng immediately fell into the illusion. This level of illusion wants to affect me, break! Luo Feng's willpower was heaven-defying, easily breaking through the illusion. The surrounding scenery vanished, following which he entered an endless world of mountains and rivers. Another illusion break! Another illusion break! Layer after layer of illusions, eternal illusions. Luo Feng's willpower was incomparably strong, madly breaking through layer after layer. However, the formation of the illusions could completely keep up with Luo Feng's breaking speed. Again and again, time passed, almost as though he had been in the illusion for thousands, tens of thousands of years, and the endless illusions continued. This isn't a normal illusion. I've never heard of such a terrifying illusion, and that silver eye unleashed such a peculiar move. It should be his natural ability. Luo Feng had been in the illusion for an extremely long time, yet he was still incredibly calm. His willpower had long been tempered by the life and death inheritance. It was terrifyingly strong. Innate ultimate moves are always hard to understand. Like the golden horned beast's clone, strengthening, these are all things that can't be trained. This unique skill of his is also very strange. Luo Feng thought. Even though he was trapped in many layers of illusions and couldn't completely escape, he wasn't in a rush. Firstly, even though it seemed like a long time had passed, Luo Feng relied on his connection with the golden horned beast to know that only an instant had passed in the outside world. This was also because Luo Feng's willpower was strong. If his willpower was weaker, and he was completely affected by the illusion, he wouldn't be able to maintain contact with his body. After Silver Eye used this move, The countless eyes on the surface of his crystal-like skin began to quietly hide. The silver-white eye on his forehead also slowly closed. This move was an innate ultimate move. Once it was used, the victim would fall into an endless cycle of reincarnation. There were two ways to break this move. The first was to use his powerful god energy or soul-protecting treasure to forcefully break it. Luo Feng could totally use the pearl to break this move. The second was to endure this move and break through the endless reincarnation. Moreover, one couldn't fall into depravity midway. That would require one to spend an extremely long period of time in the illusory realm. Of course, only an instant had passed in the outside world. Endless reincarnation. If one falls into depravity and enjoys the wonders of the illusions, naturally one's willpower and consciousness will crumble and one's soul will crumble, dying. If one resists and breaks through the layers of illusions, it would be incomparably lonely. And one can't relax even for a moment. The eternity of breaking through the illusions, almost as though there's no end to it. 1,000,000,000,000 years of breaking through, it's enough to make a strong warrior fall into despair and finally fall. Silver Eye was extremely proud of his move. This move was very powerful. It was definitely more terrifying than being locked in the ice prison for countless years. Because one could hide in the ice prison, however, one couldn't rest at all in the illusions. Actually, this move was similar to the life and death inheritance Luo Feng had received before. It was just that breaking through the illusions had a lower requirement of willpower. However, the life and death inheritance forced one into a life and death situation. Towards the end, one wouldn't even be able to think. Silver Eye had just closed his eye on his forehead and smiled. However, in the distant mid-air, Luo Feng had already opened his eyes. You. Silver Eye's entire crystal-clear skin had eyes appearing. How can you possibly? The black-armored servant next to him exclaimed, Impossible! Aside from the other 4 heavyweights, no one can withstand this move. 2 of the other heavyweights had to burn their divine power at the critical moment to survive. You're just a human. How could you withstand this move? How long have you spent in the endless illusions? Silver Eye suddenly said. Endless illusions? It's endless illusions. Luo Feng nodded. I feel like I've spent close to 10,000 eras in there. Close to 10,000 eras? In the endless loneliness and dryness, without any rest, you've endured through 10,000 eras? Silver Eye was filled with awe. Respect. It's still all right. Luo Feng smiled. During the life and death inheritance, every second felt like a year. During those 6,000 years, he felt like he had walked through the borders of life and death countless times. It was much more terrifying than this. Actually, Luo Feng chose to completely endure this move and not use the pearl because he wanted to train his willpower. Countless years had passed in the illusions. Just exiting it, Luo Feng didn't feel lost at all, instead he was very awake. Those old fellows in the universe, they were all life forms that existed since the birth of the universe. Just the countless years alone were enough to train their willpower. Luo Feng naturally wouldn't waste such a rare opportunity. Respect. Silver Eye nodded. If you can withstand this move of mine, I won't kill you. You let me take 3 moves, you take one of mine too. Luo Feng grinned, revealing his pure white teeth. Pung! One of the world rings that Luo Feng carried with him suddenly shattered. An incredibly strong energy emanated from it. A purple ancient bell floated beside Luo Feng, and within it, Extreme Rainbow Emperor had already ignited his undying body. The powerful energy from the igniting body was infused into the bell. Dang! A ripple visible to the naked eye, with light speed, swiftly rushed towards Silver Eye. This exceeded any spirit weapon's attack speed. And Luo Feng himself waved his hand and threw out 8 stars coated with Fema poison. The demon note was too fast. Silver Eye couldn't even dodge in time and was hit. Pung! Silver Eye's body too began to split open, with many cracks appearing, following which they began to heal. However, the 8 beams of light pierced through the cracked body and corroded it, after which the 8 beams of light turned and flew towards Luo Feng. "Let's go." Luo Feng immediately grabbed Extreme Rainbow Emperor the moment he threw out the 8 black balls. With a flap of his wings, his speed immediately rose to the limit and he fled into the distance. The 8 black balls too flew towards Luo Feng. These spirit weapon stars were naturally faster than Luo Feng's, immediately returning to Luo Feng's palm. "Master, he actually tricked you." The black armored servant raged. "We can't let him go." Silver Eye's body completely condensed, standing in mid-air watching Luo Feng flee. He revealed a smile. "I've already said, if he withstands that move of mine, I won't chase after him. What's more, how do I chase? He's already far away, I can't stop time to stop him, and my speed can't match his, how do I chase?" The black armored servant was dumbfounded. Right, that human was the fastest in the ice prison. In terms of speed, even the 5 tycoons could only admit defeat. Just like that? The black armored servant couldn't believe it. He had never seen his master at a disadvantage before. "I attacked him 3 times and took 1. It wasn't a loss, however this move was vicious." Silver Eye felt the slight damage on his body, but he didn't care. It wasn't even 1/1000th of the damage. Suddenly a voice resounded in his mind. "Silver Eye, don't you really want an anonymous virtual universe account? I find you pleasing to the eye, I'll give you a chance to get it. It's very simple, a treasure can be exchanged for an anonymous virtual universe account sensor. 3 days later, I'll arrange for my underlings to go to your place. Whether you want to trade or not, it's up to you." Luo Feng's voice resounded in his mind. Silver Eye was stunned, looking at the distant human who had just flown out of the space lock and immediately teleported away. Crafty human. Greedy human. Silver Eye couldn't help but think. Even though he really wanted an anonymous virtual universe account sensor, using a treasure to exchange for it? The treasures within the ice prison were extremely rare. Luckily the Undyings captured back then weren't normal, hence there were so many treasures. "Let's go." Silver Eye released the space lock, bringing his underlings and teleporting away. Luo Feng and Silver Eye, both parties had already left. However, the distant ice prison warriors who were secretly watching were all shocked that human was actually targeted by the Silver Eye and didn't die. This was something even the 10 emperors couldn't do. When the 10 met the 5 tycoons, they would all stay far away, even burning their god energy to escape. The heavens have flipped. Without a doubt, this battle, when the battle between Sky Wolf and Ice Prison, that human will be ranked 6th. The strongest below the 5 tycoons. The surrounding Ice Prison experts were all restless. They couldn't help but discuss this matter with some of their good friends who often supported each other. This was definitely a rare event in the quiet Ice Prison. Luo Feng and Extreme Rainbow Emperor immediately teleported back to the cave deep within the snowland. An emperor invincible is really strong. "Master, I burned my god body and relied on the treasure purple clock, yet it only caused his body to split open, it didn't even completely shatter. Much less injure him." Extreme Rainbow Emperor couldn't help but say, "That's ridiculous. His body's foundation is over 100 times yours. Even if you burned your god energy, you wouldn't be much stronger than his normal form." Luo Feng shook his head. "I took the chance to use 8 stars covered in Fema poison, however I can feel his energy. I'm afraid it didn't even hurt 1%, at least I can't feel his energy weaken at all." "That's right, his god body is so strong, and his height is 30 m, much taller than a human. His god energy is so dense, even if he were to consume 1 kilogram of Fema poison, he probably wouldn't die." Luo Feng thought. If a human invincible emperor drank 1 kilogram of Fei-Mo poison, he might die. However, Silver Eye was a special life form. His body was huge, it wasn't that easy to erode him clean. The last message I sent him, I don't know if he would agree. if he could use an incomparably cheap account outside to exchange for a treasure. That would be really lucky, you don't say? It might actually work. Luo Feng thought. Chapter 952. The warriors in the ice prison, including the 5 tycoons, had a strong thirst for contact with the outside world. I'll know in 3 days. Luo Feng didn't think any further and started to reflect on the battle. The treasure is indeed extremely powerful. I created a technique to adapt to it, causing its power to explode, allowing me to suppress that Thunder Emperor. Luo Feng thought, one treasure was indeed enough for the weak to defeat the strong. Of course, if he's as strong as Silver Eye, then I have no other way. Even if Rainbow Emperor ignites his god body and uses the purple clock and the Fei-Mo poison, the threat to him is extremely small. The main reason is, he doesn't have a defensive treasure. Only the stars I throw out can hurt him. Luo Feng thought, pitiful, if this was the outside world, how could an emperor invincible not have a defensive treasure? There were very few treasures in the ice prison. More than 12,000 king-ranked formidable martial artists and formidable martial artists with special means were imprisoned in the ice prison. Coincidentally, some of them had precious treasures. After a long time, these precious treasures were all in the hands of the most powerful martial artists in the ice prison. Even so, these so-called invincible emperors and close to invincible emperors had far fewer treasures than the outside world. Just like the human 7-blade emperors, they had 7 blades and a set of treasures, along with defensive treasures and escape treasures, and even that golden pool, many other treasures. In terms of personal strength, Thunder Emperor and White Bone Emperor may be comparable to the 7-blade emperors and Black Razor Emperor. However, in a real life or death battle, the 7-blade emperors, Life Destruction Emperor and other geniuses nurtured by their races were enough to make these ice prison prisoners despair. Strength is important, treasures are important too. Even if I become the Universe Lord, it's still the same. Luo Feng thought. Treasures, my teacher Mountain Passenger provided me with many. As for strength, I'll have to train myself. 3 days later. Northern Ice Prison, the peak of that ice mountain. Master. Rainbow Emperor stood at the foot of the mountain and respectfully asked the metallic man beside him. Stay here. If you notice anything amiss, immediately flee. The metallic man ordered. Yes, Master, Zenith Rainbow King replied. After which, the metallic man began to climb the mountain leisurely. The metallic man was Luo Feng. Of course, Luo Feng used techniques similar to the Demon Clan. When the Demon Clan roamed the universe, especially when riding universe ships, their bodies were too large and unsuitable. Hence, their bodies were hidden within their world rings, using a thread of consciousness to control the puppet bodies to handle various matters. Luo Feng split a bit of his consciousness and entered the puppet body. Even if the Silver Eye destroyed the puppet body in a fit of rage, it wouldn't affect Luo Feng at all. I haven't climbed in a long time. Under the pressure of the ice purgatory, it's a bit difficult to climb the mountain. The metal man climbed slowly. Suddenly, a black-armored figure appeared out of thin air. It was the black-armored servant. You came. The metallic man spoke, but the voice was completely Luo Feng's. Before coming here, Luo Feng adjusted the puppet's voice. It's you. The black-armored servant was enraged. I didn't expect you to come in person. Master thought you would send a servant, so he sent me to bring you, the black-armored servant said angrily. Isn't it better if I do it? Luo Feng said. Let's go. The black-armored servant brought Luo Feng's puppet body and vanished into thin air. When they appeared again, they were already within the majestic palace. Luo Feng raised his head and looked through the puppet body's vision system. He could see that tall god's Silver Eye. Back then, when Luo Feng first saw Silver Eye, it was considered equal treatment. He could watch with the puppet body, however Luo Feng felt that the puppet body was affected by the pressure, and the vision system was blurry. Silver Eye, retract your pressure. My puppet body can't take it. If you break my puppet body, I won't be able to trade with you. Luo Feng shouted. You human! Silver Eye purposely retracted his pressure. With his strength, he could probably blow up a planet with a single breath. Hence, he purposely controlled his pressure so that it wouldn't affect the weak puppet body. Haha, Silver Eye, you retracted your pressure. Looks like you're preparing for this trade. Luo Feng said. Aren't you afraid I'll just steal the sensor? Silver Eye said. Steal it? Hod is it because you're a special life form and have never experienced technology before, or is it because you've been in the ice prison for too long that you're unfamiliar with the outside world? My virtual universe anonymous accounts, especially these permanent ones, have extremely strict controls. Of course I can easily apply for many. However, I can only bring very few to the ice prison. I'll give you one now, but I can also apply to close your authority, causing you to be unable to connect to the virtual universe. Luo Feng said. If I trade with you, and you close your authority in the future, what then? Silver Eye asked. Relax, I won't do such a thankless thing that would make me a huge enemy. Luo Feng said, You have to believe in my reputation. You should know that with my strength, I have quite a position amongst the human race. I won't throw away my reputation just for an account sensor. Alright. However, exchanging a treasure for an anonymous account sensor is too much. Silver Eye said, I want to exchange for 3 sensors. I only have a total of 2 sensors. I'm still waiting to do other business. Luo Feng said, just one. Anyway, as long as you can use them, why do you need so many? If you have friends who want to use them, you can lend them to them. Silver Eye was naturally cold and silent. In terms of negotiations, he indeed couldn't compare to humans. If it wasn't for the treasure and the anonymous account sensor being important, he wouldn't have fought for it. 2. Silver Eye said. Just one, no more negotiations. Luo Feng said, Silver Eye, even if you get 2, it's useless? Don't tell me you want to sell one? Haha, if I find out you're going to sell it, I can totally close off one of the sensors. Anyways, you're the only one I'm allowed to trade with. Alright, just one. Silver Eye gave up. His negotiation ability was indeed weak. So greedy. So crafty. Silver Eye sat high up in his throne, he couldn't help but say. Crafty. Too crafty. Despicable human. The 2 servants beside scolded softly. That was a treasure. Every treasure in the ice prison wasn't easy to obtain. Even though the 10 emperors had them too, they were all incomparably astute. They realized the 5 tycoons had long hidden far away. Even though their strength couldn't compare to the 5 tycoons, if they really wanted to escape, it wouldn't be easy for the 5 tycoons to catch them. This is a sensor. Luo Feng flipped his hand and threw out an ARM computer towards Silver Eye on the throne. However, the moment it was thrown, it began to descend. Silver Eye was shocked. His god energy immediately wrapped around the ARM computer. Be careful. Silver Eye couldn't help but say. The pressure of this ice prison is too strong. Luo Feng laughed. My puppet body is too weak. Alright, I've given you the sensor, where's the treasure? Let me try first. Silver Eye tried first, swiftly recognizing the owner. His consciousness then connected to the ARM computer and entered the virtual universe. Below the throne, the metallic man Luo Feng said, This anonymous account, I've already opened up 80,000 virtual game accounts for you, just in case you don't know how to use it. Also, the scanning function of the computer has been turned off. Don't activate it. The moment it does, it will scan your body and you'll appear in the virtual universe as you do in reality. If you don't activate it, this is one of the human body templates. Of course, you can shrink your god body to human form and activate the scanning function. Interesting. Silver Eye laughed. Your human virtual games are really interesting. Silver Eye gazed at Luo Feng and laughed. It's endless loneliness in the ice prison. To be able to enter the virtual universe, I have nothing to fear, haha, Luo Feng laughed. This is a treasure. With a wave of his hand, Silver Eye tossed out a precious treasure. It was a jade green axe that was about 3 meters tall. Silver Eye couldn't help but say, "You're too greedy." Haha, happy trade. Luo Feng laughed. Silver Eye, you have to be happy. Because I'm preparing to go into closed-door training. With my stealth techniques, the other warriors in the ice prison will have a hard time finding me. The next time I come out, I don't know if it'll be a few hundred years or even longer. Even if the other 4 tycoons want to trade with me, they'll have to wait for me to come out. Go, don't be happy here. Silver Eye said, "Send the human away." Yes, master. The black-armored servant brought Luo Feng and teleported away. Silver Eye stared into the distance as a smile appeared on his face. He had obtained a total of 2 treasures in the icy purgatory, but he had only used one of them. He hadn't even used the other one. Even if he valued the one he had, the power he could unleash was only average. This was because with his current battle techniques, even if he relied on his innate gifts and ultimate techniques, the power he could unleash was far greater than if he used the treasures. Virtual universe, that virtual game, there's so many lives. How lively. A virtual game actually has over 1 trillion lives playing. Silver Eye split a bit of his consciousness to continue playing the game. After being lonely for too long, he had to adjust. This virtual universe account to Silver Eye was indeed more useful than the treasures. Eastern Ice Prison, within a cave deep in the snow. Back then I had a sudden inspiration to transmit. I didn't expect to actually acquire a treasure. This is a treasure. I hunted and killed in the Star Tower. Other than the muddy ice net, all my other treasures added together don't even amount to 1 treasure. Luo Feng held the treasure jade green axe. It was extremely thin, almost like it was carved out of ice jade. Just looking at the axe blade, Luo Feng could feel its terrifying power. Luo Feng flipped his hand and kept it, following which, his consciousness connected to the virtual universe. Within Luo Feng's personal training grounds. Standing in space, Luo Feng thought, my strength still has room to grow. Whether it's the bright moon strategy or the 10,000 star diagram, I've only created the first form. And now that I've completed the second part of the 7 transformations, I can totally use the second part as the foundation and the beast god conception to create the second form. The second form would be more profound than the first. However, his current level was much higher. Let's begin. Luo Feng began to prepare to create the technique. However, just as he was about to find an opponent to battle, a golden-robed silhouette appeared in space. It was the primal Chaos City leader. Teacher. Luo Feng bowed respectfully. 6 chapters completed. Tomato spent half a day preparing, writing from 4 in the afternoon to 5 in the morning. With his promise fulfilled, Tomato felt relaxed. However, it seemed like Tomato wouldn't be able to wake up in the morning tomorrow. Hence, he applied for a leave of absence. Tomorrow's updates would be at night. If he set it a day earlier, it wouldn't be considered late. Tomato was too tired. There's no need to wait for him tomorrow afternoon. Tomato will definitely be sleeping. At night, everyone will watch the updates. As for the monthly votes and recommendation votes, he would vote if he could. Chapter 953. Luo Feng was puzzled within. Didn't the primal Chaos City teacher tell him to meet him after 10 battles? Right now he had only battled 2 battles. Why did the teacher personally come? And the primal Chaos City leader wasn't that impatient. The long years had made him extremely patient. You want to create the second form? The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. Yes. Luo Feng said respectfully, your disciple feels that the first form of the Bright Moon Plan and the 10,000 star diagram are still not enough, hence I want to create the second form. You want to create both of them? The primal Chaos City leader continued. Yes. Luo Feng didn't hesitate at all. The Primal Chaos City leader creased his eyebrows, saying solemnly, "Have you battled in the past few days?" "I've battled twice, the first was a lucky win, the second was a loss," Luo Feng said. "What have you learned?" The Primal Chaos City leader asked. "Your disciple has learnt from these two battles. One's own strength and treasures are both very important," Luo Feng said respectfully. "If one's strength isn't enough, then even with treasures, one won't be able to unleash their full power. And if one doesn't have treasures, then against an opponent of the same level, one will be at a huge disadvantage. My treasures are still alright, but my own strength can still improve a little." Within the vast space of the training grounds, Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader stood in space, one asking and one answering. "The battles in reality, don't tell me you don't feel walking the Spirit Reader path is a waste of time?" The Primal Chaos City leader said solemnly, his voice rumbling, immediately shaking Luo Feng's soul. However, Luo Feng's willpower was extremely strong. "Waste of time?" Luo Feng shook his head. "No, your disciple actually feels that my strength has increased greatly, it's very suitable for this path." What a joke! He had a Spirit Reader treasure star map that was specially used for attacking. Even if he created his own techniques, it would still be hard for him to beat an Emperor-level warrior. However, with the star map, he would be able to suppress the Thunder Emperor. The Primal Chaos City leader couldn't help but shake his head as he heard. Give up. Give up on the Spirit Reader path and focus on the fighter path. The Primal Chaos City leader sighed. Luo Feng was shocked as he looked at the Primal Chaos City leader. After being under his tutelage for so long, the city leader had always guided him. "Why?" Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. "My willpower is extremely strong, and I've also received the Demon Note inheritance. On the path of a Spirit Reader, you can definitely walk very far. But on the path of a warrior, you can walk even further," the Primal Chaos City Master said. "Please speak, teacher." Luo Feng bowed. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at the disciple before him. He was very clear that with Luo Feng's temperament and willpower, it was impossible to make him give up with just one sentence. "Then I'll tell you," the Primal Chaos City leader said solemnly. "Firstly, you are a black warrior. Secondly, you cultivate the beast god Dao." Luo Feng listened carefully. The Black Warrior has already become a legend in the Blood River continent. The Primal Chaos City Master sighed. "As long as you are able to become a Black Warrior, it means that your genes are extremely compatible with the Beast God's bloodline. Then in the future, using the Beast God's blood, the amount of genes you can raise will be even more shocking. Genes are the foundation. With a foundation that is 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger, how can we fight?" And the beast gods that died in Blood River continent were all close combat experts. You must remember, any Spirit Reader that walks the path of the beast god will never be able to reach the peak. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was stunned. Never be able to reach the peak? To reach the peak, a being comparable to the beast god. That has to be a fighter. The Primal Chaos City leader said, "You are a black warrior, naturally you have an incomparably rare body, training in the beast god path so quickly, obviously your comprehension and talent is extremely high. With so many talents, how can you let them down? If you walk the path of a fighter, you have hopes of becoming a universe lord in the future. Even though this path is extremely difficult, you will definitely succeed. If you blindly train and want to become a universe lord, the chances are extremely low." Luo Feng stood there, silent. Some of the weaker races in the universe don't even know this secret. Some train in the beast god path and still walk the Spirit Reader path. What a joke, they are destined to never succeed. Look at that Hiroto. Finally stuck at the last step, unable to take it. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. "Think about it well, once you're done, tell me your answer." After which, the Primal Chaos City leader turned and stood there silently. Luo Feng too was silent. I have to walk the path of a fighter to have hopes of becoming a being comparable to the beast god? Luo Feng thought, Black Warrior, it means that my genes and the beast god bloodline are extremely compatible? Right, I've trained in the 9-level secret manual, my genes have evolved a few times, far exceeding the normal human bloodline, that's why I was able to absorb 10 crystals. What should I choose? One path was chosen by the primal Chaos City teacher. A fighter, walking the path of the beast god. In the future I have a chance of becoming a being comparable to the beast god. That's a universe lord. One path was chosen by teacher Mountain Passenger. Spirit Reader, training in the 9-level secret manual. As for what techniques I create, he doesn't care about me at all. All I have to do is wait until I'm strong enough to control the Star Tower. Mountain Passenger's 2 disciples are both Universe Lords. I believe this path has a higher chance of becoming a Universe Lord, and there's also one of the most powerful treasures, the Star Tower. What do I choose? Many scenes flashed through Luo Feng's mind. Haha, what's there to worry about? Since these 2 paths have hopes of becoming a Universe Lord, then, I'll walk both paths. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. I'm different from Bolin. Bolin split his attention between 2 origin laws. And I'm also researching the Beast God path. Only one is a fighter's path, and the other is a spirit reader's path. Training both at the same time, it'll help me research the Beast God path. Luo Feng thought. In the vast space, the primal Chaos City leader's back faced Luo Feng, standing in space for a while. Teacher, Luo Feng said respectfully. Have you decided? The primal Chaos City leader's voice was calm. I've decided. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Your disciple has decided to train both the fighter and spirit path. If I'm really wrong in the future, I'll give up on one. Since you've already decided, I won't say any more. I'll see how far you can go as a fighter and spirit reader. The primal Chaos City leader turned and looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng too looked at his teacher. Their gazes met. Luo Feng didn't show any signs of fear. Very good. The primal Chaos City leader nodded. It's fine if I'm wrong, but I have to stick to my heart and focus. Understood. Luo Feng nodded. Then continue creating your absolute arts. I'll target your weaknesses and arrange for opponents for you. The primal Chaos City leader finished and vanished. Luo Feng couldn't help but kneel down. Thank you, teacher. This kneel was from the bottom of his heart. Even though he had gone against him, the primal Chaos City leader still encouraged and supported him. And when he created his own arts, the primal Chaos City leader even went to great lengths to arrange for opponents. This was actually a very taxing task. Maybe the primal Chaos City leader's teacher valued and nurtured him because of his race, but no matter what, the primal Chaos City leader had treated him well. Kindness, he had to remember it. With the ability, with the opportunity, he would definitely repay it. Let's begin. Luo Feng's body shook and vanished. In mid-air a majestic golden-horned beast appeared. Following his old path, he first created the Bright Moon strategy, then the 10,000 star diagram. In a distant desolate area of the universe, within the Wu Hua secret region's ice prison star belt, ice prison, Luo Feng first broke the death god's finger from one of the 5 Leviathan's silver eye, after which he withstood the silver eye and finally escaped. This news naturally began to spread within the ice prison. However, the ice prison didn't have any advanced communication methods. Even Luo Feng's large scanning device was affected by the ice prison's interference. One could understand, setting up an internal virtual world wasn't practical at all. Communication lagged behind. And the strong often had enmity with each other, even killing each other the moment they met. Only good friends or those with similar strength would occasionally gather. Hence the speed at which this news spread was extremely slow. Even after half a year, not even a third of the strong in the ice prison knew of this news. In the southern ice prison, in the middle of the endless snow, there was a towering palace. Pieces of ice were inserted around the palace. These pieces of ice were randomly inserted around the palace. Each piece of ice was engraved with Demon Clan characters. Clearly, it was the ranking of the ice prison. This palace undoubtedly housed a very special being within the ice prison. Sky Wolf. Sky Wolf, one of the 5 Leviathans. At the same time, he was also the one who compiled the rankings, and he was also the one with the best temper in the entire prison of ice. It was said that the heavenly wolf of the demon race's royal family was extremely savage, but this heavenly wolf, one of the big shots, rarely killed. His good temper was something that had been publicly acknowledged for a long time. However, if one angered him, he would still kill. After all, to be able to be ranked as one of the 5 Leviathans, he relied on a few shocking battles in the ice prison to get there. Master, looks like the rankings are going to change again. There's a new battle? On the palace's incomparably huge throne made of ice, sat a 10 kilometers long demon that was like a mountain range. Its entire body was covered in snow-white fur. The tips of it, however, had a tinge of gold, causing its entire body to be enveloped in a layer of gold light. On its forehead were 3 peculiar engravings, almost like 3-blade scars. He was Sky Wolf. Yes, it's a battle between the human and Thunder Emperor, and the human and Silver Eye. 5 servants stood in front of the hall. These 5 servants were all armored monsters, and they were only at the Marquis realm. They had been brought here when Tian Lang had been imprisoned. Human. The majestic Sky Wolf on the throne suddenly raised its head, its green eyes glowing fiercely as it looked down. Where is the human? Hurry and find that human, hurry! Master, this battle has been going on for more than half a year. The 5 servants were stunned. More than half a year? Sky Wolf let out a series of angry growls. Back then, when the human had just appeared in the ice prison, Silver Eye and the others had openly searched for the human, and Sky Wolf had also secretly sent his subordinates to search for the human. However, after a long time, they had not been able to find the human and had given up. Sky Wolf did not expect to finally receive news of the human this time, but it was news from more than half a year ago. This cannot go on. Sky Wolf suddenly stood up, its 4 hooves on the throne, and a boundless aura emanated, scaring the 5 servants so much that they knelt down. Chapter 954. The 5 servants knelt before the throne, not daring to make a sound. Sirius, who was standing on the huge throne, had a ferocious glint in his green eyes. Even if this human appears again, by the time I receive the news and go to look for him, I'm afraid that this human will disappear again. Sirius immediately realized this and quickly made a decision. Prepare the ice, Sirius said in a low voice. Yes, master. The 5 kneeling servants responded in unison. The leader of the group immediately flipped his hand and respectfully placed a large, well-carved block of ice on the ground. Sirius walked down from the throne and strolled up to the block of ice. Tell me about this human's battle with the Lightning Monarch and Silver Eye, Sirius said. Yes, master. This human first fought with the Lightning Monarch, and after a few exchanges, the Lightning Monarch was actually suppressed by the human. Moreover, the human's speed was terrifying, and he couldn't escape. He was forced to ignite his divine body. After igniting his divine body, the Lightning Monarch still couldn't match the human's speed. The 5 servants narrated the information one after another. Although it was rather brief, they had already gotten to the point. Sirius lowered his head and looked at the block of ice. Crackle, 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 demonic characters appeared out of thin air on the block of ice, and the rankings were quickly determined. Rank 1, Blood Mantis Rank 2, Sirius Rank 3, Sirius Rank 4, Black Wind Rank 5, Serpentine Rank 6, Human. Many of the 6 experts were named according to their race or clan. For example, Serpentine and Human were clan names, and Sirius was also a clan name. As for Blood Mantis, Silver Eye, Black Wind, they were also named according to their appearances in the icy prison. This naming method was very common, because there was only one Serpentine Dark in the icy prison, and only one human. The ranking of the experts in the ice prison was quickly determined. Every expert was accompanied by some information and introduction. There were more than 800 experts, which almost filled the entire ice block. Only the top of the ice block was left empty. Seeing this, the 5 servants were secretly puzzled. They secretly transmitted to each other. Previously, Master carved the rankings from the top of the block of ice. Why is it different this time? That's right. Master has carved the rankings countless times, but I've never seen Master do this. In their discussion, at the top of the ice block, a series of demon race words began to appear. I swear that I will protect any expert who brings humans to my Sirius wolf tribe forever. If I see this human, I will definitely not kill him. This oath shall be witnessed by all the experts in the entire ice purgatory through this ranking ice tablet. All right. Sirius raised his head. Make 900 copies of the ranking ice steel and send them to the mountain peak. Yes, Master, the 5 servants replied respectfully. They swiftly copied the carvings, with their undying spirit methods. Naturally, they produced 900 ice tablets, following which one of them brought these ice tablets and flew out of the palace, heading towards a mountain peak near the ice ocean. That was where the rankings were determined. Battles were forbidden there. This was something all the experts knew. The ranking ice steel was silently taken away by the powerhouses who passed by. Naturally, the news of the Sky Wolf tribe's bounty spread throughout the ice prison. The protection of Sirius? If I can obtain the protection of Sirius, as long as Sirius doesn't die, who can kill me? Sirius won't break his oath, right? How can that be? Sirius used the ranking ice steel to announce it to the entire ice prison. All the warriors know. How could he break his oath for us weaklings and not care about his face? And Sirius has always been very proud. He doesn't even bother to act against us weaklings. His good temper is famous. Hurry and find the human. Right, find the human. In the entire ice prison, other than the top 10 warriors, which one of the others didn't live in fear? Even White Bone Emperor and Thunder Emperor were afraid of meeting the 5 tycoons, much less the other imprisoned warriors. Even though they were weak, their numbers made up over 90% of the ice prison warriors. To find Luo Feng, naturally they would go crazy. However, Luo Feng's base was hidden deep within the snowland, with a mini-scanning device. Even if the other warriors reached the entrance, their naked eyes and god energy wouldn't be able to find him. Unless they attacked and destroyed the base, forcing Luo Feng to come out. The craze to find the human lasted for a few hundred years. Gradually the madness began to subside. However, there were still a few weaker emperors who would go search for him, because the moment they found him, it meant they could live a stable life. Within a vast god country, in the endless ocean, there were many islands. On one of the islands, black-clothed Luo Feng sat crossed-legged on the beach of the island, looking at the waves crashing and retreating time and time again. As for the golden-horned beast, it was in its internal world copying the beast god statue. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 years have passed. My beast god conception has already reached the 20th level of the heavenly bridge 1,000 years ago. I originally thought it would be very difficult to improve further. However, I didn't expect that even though my progress was slow, it never stopped and has been slowly improving. Black-clothed Luo Feng smiled. However, the difference between the 20th and 21st level is too huge. I'm afraid I'll have to spend 10 times the time of the 19th to 20th. The beast god conception relied on copying the large and small beast god statues to form. Of course, Luo Feng's fusion origin law comprehension was very important too. Without that comprehension, just copying would be hard to achieve much. The origin law comprehension was the tree's roots and trunk. The conception was the tree's branches and leaves. Only when the roots were deep enough and the trunk was thick and tall enough, could the leaves grow taller and more luxuriant. This was a mutually reinforcing process. With origin law comprehension as the foundation, one could comprehend and grasp higher levels of conception. The higher the conception, it would also have an effect on one's origin law comprehension. Time passed. The golden-horned beast fully focused on studying the 7 transformations of the god, copying the statues and comprehending the beast-god conception. Luo Feng's earth body was studying the bright moon strategy and the 10,000-star Dao map. With the primal chaos city leader providing opponents that targeted the weaknesses of Luo Feng's techniques, Luo Feng's techniques were constantly perfected, improving extremely quickly. He could use the second part of the tendon part as the foundation to create his attacks. Just the usage of the origin laws alone was already extremely complicated. Luo Feng spent a total of 1,600 years to successfully create the second part of the Bright Moon strategy. Blade techniques, killing Wu Wings, they could all be unleashed. With one slash, it was like a huge blade slicing through the sky, its power endless, destroying everything in its path. Tyrannical beyond compare. However, when Luo Feng switched to researching the second form of the 10,000-star Dao layout diagram, he suffered. According to the experience of creating the first form, Luo Feng believed that he could create the second form of the 10,000-star Dao layout diagram within a tenth of the time of creating the second form of the Bright Moon strategy, since he already had the experience. However, the actual process exceeded Luo Feng's imagination. The first part uses the first part as the foundation, it's much simpler. The second part uses the second part as the foundation, however it's much more complicated. Creating the Bright Moon strategy and the 10,000-star Dao map, they both became much more complicated. Hence the experience from creating the second part of the Bright Moon strategy is much weaker. Luo Feng found it troublesome. Close combat techniques and spirit weapon techniques had a fundamental difference. It was a completely different battle direction. As the technique became more complicated, the difference between the two would become greater. The research experience would become less and less useful. Luo Feng spent a total of 500 years to create the second part of the 10,000-star Dao map. That was a full 3/10 of the time for the second part of the Bright Moon strategy, much more than the 1/10 he expected. Virtual Universe Lightning Island, at the highest point of the endless energy currents in the palace. Luo Feng stepped through the door of the palace. Walking within the palace, he stopped halfway and said respectfully, "Teacher, your disciple has successfully created his technique, please give me some pointers." "You've realized right." A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents. "I've realized." Luo Feng said respectfully, "Your disciple originally thought that with the experience of studying the origin laws and creating close combat techniques, it would be much easier to create the spirit weapon technique. In truth, it's indeed much easier, however it's far from as easy as I thought. What you've created is an absolute technique. It's not just any ordinary technique, it's two fundamentally different techniques, one close combat technique, the other a spirit weapon technique. The further you go, the bigger the difference. When you create the first part, you can still learn from each other. For the second part, it's still effective. By the time you reach the third part, it's extremely weak. The fourth part has no effect at all. The fifth part will instead slow down your creation of both techniques. The sixth part will become very difficult. The seventh part also represents the techniques of the Universe Lord. I'm afraid you won't be able to create it." "Ah." Luo Feng revealed a look of shock. Multitasking, having two techniques in your heart at the same time, at the start they can still assist each other, but towards the end they will affect each other, making it incredibly hard for you to even create another technique. You think the strong are afraid of wasting more time? Wrong, the strong have eternal life, spending twice the amount of time is nothing. What they are afraid of is splitting their attention and never having the chance to reach the pinnacle. The primal Chaos City leader said, "Are you still persevering with your thoughts?" Luo Feng nodded, "Persevering." "Then continue persevering, you still have the right to make mistakes." A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents, I hope you won't be like this when you reach the fourth part. Luo Feng only bowed, not making a sound. Go. Use your achievements to prove yourself right. A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents. Yes, teacher. Luo Feng bowed, thinking within, he would definitely use his achievements to prove himself. So, Luo Feng vanished from mid-air, his consciousness returning to reality. Eastern Ice Prison, deep within the snow caves. Over 2,000 years, Luo Feng had been sitting crossed-legged within the room. Finally, he opened his eyes. Teacher Primal Chaos City Leader, just what? Because of his teacher's words before, Luo Feng didn't have the joy of creating an absolute technique. All he had was battle intent, a battle intent to fight. If I'm wrong, I'll have to use reality to prove it to me. Monday, I'll ask for recommendation tickets, everyone has one. Chapter 955. Luo Feng left the cave and arrived 10,000 kilometers above in the snow. On the snow, Luo Feng walked step by step. Universe Lords are the pinnacle of beings in the universe. However, there are still differences in strength. The strong ones are like the Primal Chaos City Leader Teacher, the middle ones are like Second Senior Flame Emperor, the low ones are like Puti. Of course, they are all beings that trillions of races look up to. However, obviously, even though Flame Emperor has 2 treasures, he doesn't have a treasure like the Star Tower. Just like Pu Ti's treasure, he probably doesn't even compare to Second Senior. The Star Tower has caused the 4 pinnacle races to fight intensely. Just its own strength alone is enough to stand tall in the space of the alien battlefield. No one can shake it. Every moment it consumes energy to maintain it, causing the 9-spiral nebula. That whirlpool can easily destroy a universe knight. Absolute treasure. Luo Feng nodded. Back then mountain passengers said that when Luo Feng became a universe knight and gathered the last piece of the 9-level secret manual, he would be very close to activating the entire Star Tower. And he also said, as long as Luo Feng could activate the Star Tower, he would have the power to speak equally with the Universe Lords. Also, I relied on the Star Tower to speak equally with the Universe Lords when I was a knight. Luo Feng thought, since that's the case, I can't let down such a treasure. This is a true treasure that even the strongest warriors in the universe covet. Just taking out a random part is a star map. Just a random part of the control core is a soul treasure. Taking out the pearl, the 10,000 stars, to the Star Tower, it was just a drop in the ocean. One could see the power of the Star Tower. The more he thought about it, Luo Feng felt that his spirit reader path wasn't wrong. And my teacher said that a fighter and spirit reader dual training is impossible to succeed in creating the 7th form. Luo Feng shook his head. Back then my teacher also said that no human has ever trained in the Beast God path to become a Universe Lord. I think it's the other races in the universe that have done it. However, it's obviously a rare case. A rare case, how can it represent everything? I'm afraid my teacher was just trying to convince me and exaggerated. Luo Feng thought. On the snowy ground, Luo Feng silently walked step by step. His thoughts were complicated. Obviously the Primal Chaos City Leader's words from before had affected him. Even though he didn't waver in front of his teacher, and his heart was indeed resolute, it was undeniable. The Primal Chaos City Leader was one of the top 3 beings of humanity. His words had a huge impact on Luo Feng, hence he couldn't help but think over and over again, becoming more resolute. The reason why he was so resolute was because he believed in himself, and because Mountain Passenger was stronger than the Primal Chaos City Lord. Luo Feng wasn't blind. If it wasn't for the Mountain Passenger, Luo Feng would have hesitated for a long time because of the Primal Chaos City Leader's words. On the peak of an undulating ice mountain, an inconspicuous figure was hidden behind the ice. His eyes were looking into the void in the distance, and he could clearly see hundreds of millions of kilometers away with a single glance. What's that? The blurry figure paused for a moment, and then suddenly dashed out. In a flash, it was already tens of millions of kilometers away in the snow. The figure condensed, it was a metallic life form, its entire body gleaming with a dull metallic luster. His eyes were like rubies, his body was hunched over, almost like a leopard that was bending over and standing. He was currently staring at a footprint in the snow. This footprint. I've never seen it before. Hunching over, he carefully examined it. As he examined it, his ruby eyes gleamed. Don't tell me, if it's really him, then I've really hit the jackpot. So. He immediately flew into the air and looked down, discovering another footprint 1,000 kilometers away. Following the direction of the footprints, he began to teleport short distances again and again as he rapidly chased after them. After teleporting dozens of times, when he appeared in mid-air again, he saw a figure walking on the snowy ground in the distance. The figure was not anxious at all and was just walking, each step covering thousands of kilometers. Ha ha ha, it's really a human. The metallic life's ruby eyes gleamed, extremely excited. No other warriors have discovered me, that's great, haha, I finally don't have to live such fearful days anymore. Who? He immediately rushed down towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng walked on the snow, fiercely turning to look behind him. In the distance in mid-air, there was a silhouette rushing down. Luo Feng could see with one glance that the person was hunched over. He was about 2 m tall, his entire body gleaming with a dull gold color, and his ruby eyes, its rank 626 metallic Ka-Tua. In the ice prison, the strong slaughtered each other. If one wasn't on good terms with them, normally they wouldn't even dare get close. Just like how the weak wouldn't dare get close to the 10 emperors, if they got close and got killed, they could only blame themselves. A rank 626 punk dares to challenge me. Luo Feng extended his left hand, 52 black balls appeared in his palm. I've just created this second form, I'll let you have a taste. The second form was incredibly complex. Its power was extremely strong too. Just the origin law engravings alone required a total of 52 stars to be able to completely carry it. Rumble. The 52 stars in midair began to cause countless golden threads to appear, and instantly, a dazzling beast god, over 1,000 meters tall, appeared in midair. This beast god's entire body was solid, and all of its scales could be seen clearly. Of course, the aura of the beast god's long, scaled tail was the most powerful. Moreover, the scales on the other parts of the beast god's body seemed to be covered in a layer of dust, while the scales on its tail seemed brand new, emanating a mysterious aura of the laws. A tyrannical aura emanated. Just the beast god appearing in mid-air, that tyrannical aura caused the space within a 1 million kilometers area to tremble. Part of it was because of the 52 stars in the star map, part of it was a powerful absolute art, and also part of it was because the beast god's conception had grown stronger over the past 2,000 years. The three combined. Its power was indeed tyrannical beyond belief. Ka-Tua, who was so excited that he was about to go crazy, was instantly scared out of his wits. He immediately teleported to a place hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. At the same time, he said, "Human, I have no ill intentions. I came here on behalf of the master of the southern icy hell, Heavenly Wolf." Luo Feng stood in the snow, in mid-air floated the tyrannical beast god. Luo Feng looked satisfactorily at the beast god. The reason why he unleashed this move upon seeing this little pawn was actually because he hadn't unleashed it in real life, hence he was itching to use it. From the looks of it, its power was indeed very strong. Sky Wolf? Luo Feng looked at the distant metal warrior, after which he waved with his left hand. The beast god in mid-air immediately dispersed. The 52 stars swiftly descended from above, entering his palm and disappearing. Only then did the distant metal warrior carefully fly over, simultaneously smiling respectfully, flipping his hand and taking out an ice ranking tablet. "Lord Human, take a look and you'll know." Ranking? Luo Feng glanced over and saw the ice ranking tablet clearly. He also saw Sky Wolf's oath to all the warriors in the ice hell. He also saw that he was ranked 6. Why is Sky Wolf in such a rush to find me? And he even publicly swore that he wouldn't kill me. I'll go take a look. Luo Feng thought for a while and decided. Let's go, bring me there. Luo Feng looked at the metal warrior. The stooped metal Kato was immediately overjoyed. He said happily, Lord Human, I was lucky to be the first to meet you. I'll bring you to the Southern Ice Hell Leader's palace right now. Bringing Luo Feng with a teleportation, they disappeared from the Eastern Ice Hell, arriving at the Southern Ice Hell. Luo Feng looked at the distant majestic palace on the snow ground, and the countless ice-ranking tablets around it. Lord Human, I don't dare to teleport directly into the palace. Let's fly over. Ka Tua said. Let's go. Luo Feng nodded. So, 2 beams of light broke through the sky and flew towards the palace, immediately attracting the attention of the 2 servants at the entrance. Sky Wolf placed a total of 7 servants in the palace. 5 of them were brought in from the outside world back then. They usually did some small things for him. And the other 2 were always in charge of guarding the palace. They were the 2 warriors Sky Wolf killed in the ice hell, heavily injured to the point of almost falling into a deep sleep, and then his soul controlled them. Who dares to trespass into the Southern Ice Hell Leader's palace? The 2 Emperor servants saw the 2 beams of light and immediately shouted, their voices rumbling. That's. They took a closer look. Human! It's actually a human. They recognized him and couldn't help but to exchange glances. Their master really wanted to see a human. I'm here to bring Lord Human. Ka Tua smiled as he landed. So it's Ka Tua, you're quite lucky, you'll receive Master's eternal protection. One of the servants said, Human, Master has waited for you for over 2,000 years. Follow me. Metal Ka Tua, come with us. The servant brought Luo Feng and Ka Tua into the palace. Luo Feng observed everything. When he entered the palace, he immediately saw the huge beast silhouette sitting on the huge throne in the majestic palace. The demon Imperial Sirius that was over 10 kilometers long was sitting on it. Of course, in terms of size, comparing Skywolf to the golden horned beast was like comparing a mouse to an elephant. Human. Skywolf's jade eyes were already opened, gazing below. Skywolf. Luo Feng looked at Skywolf, smiling. You're in such a rush to find me, even making such an oath to all the warriors in the ice hell. I wonder what's the matter. Of course there's a matter. Skywolf's jade eyes turned to look at Ka Tua. Ka Tua's body bowed even more, appearing very respectful. Skywolf said slowly, Ka Tua, you found the human and brought him here? Yes. Ka Tua said. Good, from today on, you'll live around the palace. No warrior will dare touch you. Skywolf said slowly. Yes. Thank you, Lord Skywolf. Ka Tua was extremely excited, his body slightly trembling. He, who was ranked around 600, was definitely one of the weakest in the ice hell. He lived in fear for so long, knowing that he would receive Sky Wolf's protection if he found the human. He often went looking for him. Though Sky Wolf didn't want to talk too much with Ka Tua. Ka Tua bowed respectfully, and then he was filled with joy, even bowing to Luo Feng to thank him, before leaving the palace. Luo Feng sighed to himself at the tragedy of the weak in the ice hell. Rumble. The palace's gate also rumbled as it closed. The gate is closed, the other warriors have left. Other than you, I'm your servant. Whatever you want, you can say it now. Luo Feng looked at Skywolf, who was sitting on the throne. Chapter 956. On the ice throne, Sirius gazed down at Luo Feng, his eyes gleaming with a smile. He let out a voice that resounded throughout the majestic palace. Human, I invited you here. You should have guessed it too. I wish to purchase an anonymous virtual universe sensor. You should understand how much I, who has been locked up in the ice prison for countless years, want to interact with the outside world. You are a demon, I am a human. Luo Feng looked up at Sirius. Sirius, you should know our two races are enemies. The virtual universe rejects your demon's consciousness. Even if you have the anonymous sensor, you still won't be able to enter the virtual universe. Different races, there was a fundamental difference in soul consciousness. The virtual universe was humanity's virtual universe. Demon, bug, automaton, and many other races, many wanted to borrow the virtual universe to send messages. However, as long as they were enemies with humanity, many of them couldn't even connect to the virtual universe. As for the other races that weren't enemies with humanity, even though they could use the virtual universe, their authority would be restricted, and they would be monitored. Like the silver-eyed special life forms, their authority would at most be restricted, but they could still use it. I understand. Sirius's jade eyes looked at Luo Feng. However, you should know, even though I have no way, my servants have a way. Amongst my servants, there are still two that are friendly with humanity. They have the right to enter the virtual universe. What about your censor from before? Luo Feng asked. These crafty foreign races would think of ways to make use of humanity's virtual universe. After all, the virtual universe was simply too useful. Therefore, they would usually get an anonymous account censor. There was a small mistake. It was discovered by the virtual universe system, and its authority was sealed. Sirius said. No wonder. Luo Feng laughed. Even if they secretly thought of ways to control the human servants, or the foreign race servants in the Great Alliance, the virtual universe system's surveillance was extremely powerful. Even if they were to discover any clues, no matter how deep they hid, the moment they were discovered, the controlled servant would no longer have the right to connect to the virtual universe, and the censor's authority would be sealed too. They could even follow the clues to the virtual universe's coordinates and directly capture them. Hence, the number of foreign race spies captured and killed was uncountable. However, the other 5 great races still tirelessly used the virtual universe to secretly build all sorts of information network. I don't have an anonymous account censor. Luo Feng shook his head. You can fool the other alien races with this kind of lie, but our Yao race has been fighting against your human race for countless years. How could we not know? On the ice throne, Sirius's green eyes stared at Luo Feng. A simple sensor, with the AI you carry with you, you can easily create one. The important thing is that the sensor has the authority to connect. And with your identity, you can easily apply for an anonymous account in the virtual universe. Sirius gazed at Luo Feng. Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you. You too know, the other alien races in the virtual universe have countless spy and information systems. Even though many have been discovered and destroyed, many of the information lines have been destroyed, and the losses are huge. Many of the alien races are still secretly building their own intelligence systems. Sky Wolf looked at Luo Feng. With so many spies, one more wouldn't make a difference, right? Luo Feng stood below the throne and listened, staring at him. You want to contact the demon race? Out? Sirius gazed at Luo Feng. They faced each other from afar. Haha, there's no point in hiding it. Of course you can guess it. Right, I want to go out. Sirius said. Even though I don't have much confidence in the information network I know from countless years ago, I still want to give it a try. I want to go out. You think I'll help you, alien race? Luo Feng said. It's not help, it's a trade. Sirius said. An anonymous account in the virtual universe, if it's outside, it's too easy to get one. Hence, selling an account to me isn't a crime at all. You didn't even help me spread the news. You only sold one account. There are countless accounts being sold in the human world every day. Some of them are secretly bought by the alien races. Luo Feng looked at him. What Sirius said was right. Selling accounts was indeed a very common thing. Of course, I won't let you lose out. Sirius said. I'm willing to use a treasure to exchange with you. Treasure? Luo Feng frowned and looked at Sirius. What a huge deal. Sirius raised his claw slightly and a completely black stone rod floated. The two ends of the rod had beautiful carvings on them. It looked more like a work of art than a weapon. However, the energy emitted from the entire rod reverberated throughout the entire palace. A treasure to exchange for an anonymous censor. Sirius looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was silent. Human world, you can buy as many of these censors as you want. You're only selling one. Sirius said, you and I are both trapped in this ice prison. My only wish is to leave it. What's more, I'm just an emperor-level undying. Even if I leave, I won't be a threat to you humans. Not even mentioning an emperor-level undying, even a universe knight, between the two pinnacle races of humanity and demon race, they wouldn't be a threat at all. Not selling? Luo Feng shook his head. You're not even selling a single treasure? Sirius suddenly stood up. His aura exploded. The other 5 servants in the palace stared angrily at Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at Sirius and shook his head. Not selling. Luo Feng's thoughts weren't rigid. Selling one censor was actually a small matter. Moreover, in the universe there were quite a few alien races that temporarily cooperated with each other due to special circumstances. Luo Feng didn't really mind selling one censor. However, that depended on the price. 1 treasure? Not enough. 2. I'll give you one of the treasures I use myself. Sirius roared and stared angrily at Luo Feng. 2 treasures for an incredibly cheap censor account outside. This is the biggest price I can afford. Human, you should be satisfied. Even in a universe secret region, who would be able to get 2 treasures so easily? Luo Feng looked up at the raging Sirius and said softly, not selling. Not selling? Sirius was shocked. Don't you know this is a treasure? There are only so many treasures in the entire ice prison. Even me, Silver Eye and the others only have 2 to 3 treasures each. I have a total of 3. I only have the most important one, the most suitable one. As for the other 2, one of them was used by me. I gave them to you, but you actually… Sirius roared, don't go too far. The price is about right. These 2 treasures are enough to hire your human universe paragons to kill your human powerhouses. Some unnecessary things have a price. It's not like I'm asking you to betray humanity. I'm just selling one censor. I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to sell the censor or not? Luo Feng looked at him and shook his head. Not selling. Sirius's jade eyes were immediately filled with madness. Rumble. The energy in the palace suddenly intensified. Sirius immediately vanished from the ice throne. Luo Feng too spread his silver wings and became a beam of light. Simultaneously 52 black balls appeared in his palm. Howl! Sirius immediately appeared where Luo Feng was. His 4 hooves slightly bent, his jade eyes filled with killing intent as he stared at Luo Feng. Luo Feng stood in the distance, holding the 52 floating black balls. Looking at him, he said softly, Sirius, didn't you swear to all the warriors in Ice Prison that you wouldn't make a move and kill? Humph, breaking an oath depends on whether it's worth it or not. You despicable human, cutting off my hopes of leaving. Tell me, should I kill you? Sirius roared softly from his throat. Revealing his fangs, the 3 peculiar blade scars on his forehead writhed as he stared hard at Luo Feng. Ah, that's right. However, Sirius, you should know that if you kill me, you won't be able to get access to those anonymous accounts and censors. Without my permission, even if you get access to my world ring, you won't be able to connect. Luo Feng looked at the 52 black balls in his palm. What's more, you can't kill me. Even Silver Eye, who specializes in time laws, can't kill me. You specialize in space laws. In terms of speed, I'm faster than you. How will you kill me? Luo Feng stared at Sirius. Sirius's killing intent soared. Luo Feng faced him coldly. The 2 of them stared at each other from afar. Good, good, good. Sirius said solemnly. You're so strong, your position in the human race must be extremely high. Acquiring treasures in the outside world is much easier than in the ice prison. 2 treasures, It wouldn't be weird if you weren't moved. Alright. I'll give you the most important treasure of Sirius. I'll use this treasure to exchange with you. Luo Feng was shocked within. Sirius had even more valuable treasures? I won't give you the other two treasures. I'll just take this one. Sirius stared hard at Luo Feng. Humph, I've acquired it. That's also fate and luck. Such a treasure, even the knights of the universe would fight over it. I was in the ice prison, killing a weak foreign race and found it by chance. What treasure, making it sound so mysterious? Don't tell me it's a legendary treasure. Luo Feng sneered. I don't believe it. Of course it's not a treasure. The legendary treasures are things that even the knights of the universe would go crazy for. Even though this one of mine isn't a treasure, it's still much more valuable. Sirius's right claw lifted up slightly. An item appeared on it. It was a six-edged stone the size of a human's palm. On the stone, there was a peculiar beast standing and roaring. Luo Feng glanced at the ferocious beast carving on the stone, and his heart skipped a beat. He had seen many peculiar beasts before. Like the 9 universe tablets, beast pictures like the beast god. And this roaring beast gave Luo Feng a special feeling. What is this, a normal stone tablet? It doesn't even have any strong energy. At most, it's a little special. How can it be considered a treasure? Luo Feng sneered. Just enter it with your consciousness and you'll know. Sirius stared at Luo Feng. This is the universe's largest power ancestral god sex inheritance tablet. Naturally, it's much more valuable than a treasure. Chapter 957. The universe's strongest power, the ancestral god sect? Luo Feng was suspicious. He didn't know anything about the ancestral god sect, however the inheritance token did indeed affect him. Let me take a look. Luo Feng extended his hand. You can use your god energy to check. Sirius's jade eyes looked at Luo Feng. As for the inheritance token, before the deal is done, it's better to leave it with me. I'll hold it. You can use your god energy to check. Luo Feng looked at Sirius before him. You sure are careful. Humans are cunning. Sirius urged. If you want to check, you better hurry. Luo Feng's gaze landed on the hexagonal stone plate. Immediately, a formless spiritual force flew out and quickly drilled into the hexagonal stone plate on the Sirius's claw. The moment the spiritual force entered, it was as if it entered an ancient world. With the beast god inheritance token, head towards the inheritance grounds. If your talents and abilities match, you'll have a chance of obtaining the beast god inheritance. The universe coordinates of the inheritance grounds are. A wave of information drilled into Luo Feng's mind. Within it described that this six-edged stone was a combination of earth and space laws, the inheritance token. This made Luo Feng slightly disappointed, as he trained in the fusion of gold and space laws, the beast god path. You've seen it. Sirius looked at Luo Feng. Make your decision. Let me think. Luo Feng said. No rush, no rush. I've waited for countless years. Think for a while. Of course I'm not in a rush. Sirius stood in the palace and stared at Luo Feng. And even though Luo Feng frowned and stood there, in truth his consciousness was already connected to the virtual universe. Virtual universe, Luo Feng's villa, study. Luo Feng swiftly searched for information on his laptop. Ancestral God Sect. Luo Feng first searched for information on the Ancestral God Sect. Ever since he successfully passed the Sector Lord level Primal Sky Mountain, his authority level had risen once more. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. The screen already had information regarding the Ancestral God Sect. Luo Feng began to look through it. Beast God Inheritance Token. After which, Luo Feng looked through the information. Ancestral God Sect, the universe's #1 power. When the universe was born, the Ancestral God Sect was born. The highest position in the sect were the 3 ancestral gods, 3 elder gods, 8 beast gods, 72 divine generals, and 3,000 divine envoys. This was the fixed number of powerhouses in the ancestor god cult. Although there were oracle candidates, divine general candidates, and beast god candidates, there could only be one beast god for each of the 8 major beast gods. Unless the original beast god died, it was absolutely impossible for a new beast god to be born. It was the same for god generals and god envoys. Each of the 72 god generals and 3,000 god envoys was unique. The ancestor god sect's inheritance was divided into 3 types. The first was the divine envoy's inheritance, the second was the divine general's inheritance, and the third was the beast god's inheritance. The legacy of the beast god was already the highest legacy. The 8 great beast gods were all powerful lords of the universe. Many powerhouses from the billions of races in the vast universe had pursued the path of the beast gods, and some had even obtained the legacy of the beast gods. Some of them had even cultivated to the level of a true beast god. Even so, he still couldn't become a beast god, unless the beast god of this path of cultivation perished. Once one sat on the seat of the beast god, this honorable seat of the beast god would allow a powerhouse's strength to soar. This was also the reason why each beast god, divine general, and divine envoy only had one honorable seat. The ancestor god sect was an open-minded sect. They did not engage in power struggles, nor did they need territories. This was because their entire sect only had over 3,000 powerhouses. They recruited powerhouses from the billions of races in the universe. Their various legacies were scattered across the universe, allowing all sorts of fated people the opportunity to obtain the legacies. Those who obtained the legacies were not considered members of the ancestor god sect. Even if they cultivated to the great success stage, they still wouldn't be members of the ancestor god sect. Only those who inherited the honorable seat could become members. The ancestor god sect did not interfere in the wars between races or power struggles. Besides the 3 lofty ancestor gods, the other 8 beast gods, 72 god generals, and 3,000 god envoys were scattered across the billions of races in the universe. The god envoy legacies, god general legacies, and beast god legacies naturally had higher statuses. Among them, the lowest was the god envoy legacies. Those inheritance crystals drifted across the universe and were obtained by powerhouses. As for the divine general inheritance grounds, they were fixed and scattered across the universe. As for the beast god inheritance grounds, they were controlled and protected by the ancestor god sect. And to enter the inheritance grounds, one had to have the beast god inheritance token. The beast god inheritance token had a total of 8 types. They were gold, space, wood, space, earth, space, light, time, wind, time, thunder, time, the 8 fusion paths. It also represented the 8 beast god paths. Our human race had a rule long ago. If a warrior obtains the beast god inheritance token, he can use it for himself. If he doesn't need it, he can present it to the race. The race will give treasures of the same value. They can even give another type of beast god inheritance token. Luo Feng finished reading all of this in one go. His eyes gleamed. The ancestor god sect was actually such a powerful power. Their legacies were scattered across the many territories of the universe. However, their true members were pitifully few. There were only 3,000 of them. 3 ancestor gods, 8 beast gods. Luo Feng thought. Just how strong are the ancestor gods? Don't tell me they're on par with Mountain Passenger Teacher. Only then can the ancestor god sect be called the number 1 power in the universe. Elite strategy. The ancestor god sect completely relied on elite strategy. Their numbers were small, yet they were able to surpass the 6 pinnacles. If I obtain this beast god inheritance token, won't I be able to exchange for a suitable token with the race? Luo Feng was filled with anticipation. His eyes gleamed. Sirius, consider yourself unlucky. Ice Hell, in the palace hall of the Southern Ice Hell's master Sky Wolf. Sirius was staring at Luo Feng. Have you thought it through? Sirius spoke. Luo Feng nodded. Very good. Are you willing to trade? Sirius' aura grew slightly stronger. Obviously, he really wanted to return to the race. He was now an emperor invincible. Of course, there was still a gap between him and the emperors of the outside world. But that gap was in treasures. His own strength was enough. As long as he had a few suitable treasures, his life preservation and battle strength would rise another level. That would truly be heaven-defying. Trade. Luo Feng looked at Sirius. Smart. Sirius immediately let out a laugh. Human, give me the virtual universe anonymous account sensor first. I need to verify it. It's better if we exchange it together. Luo Feng frowned. Haha, are you messing with me? Sirius said. If I had given you the Beast God's inheritance token directly, you could have turned around and left quickly. You could have even turned off that anonymous accounts sensor. If I don't verify it, how would I know if you're telling the truth? Luo Feng glanced at him and thought. Sirius was very crafty. He didn't know if he could fall for it. What you say makes sense. Luo Feng waved his hand and threw out a mini-quantum computer. A wave of God energy immediately wrapped around the mini-quantum computer. Sirius stared at it, his green eyes filled with excitement. Back when he was imprisoned in the ice prison, even though his position wasn't low, it wasn't high either. However, now that he was an emperor invincible, he would definitely be valued by the race. The moment he returned, his glory would be limitless. He would be nurtured by the race. Becoming a universe knight wouldn't be hard. With his emperor invincible strength, the moment he became a universe knight, he definitely wouldn't be a normal one. Do according to what I say. Sirius roared softly. A silhouette appeared beside him. This was an extremely beautiful silhouette with 6 wings. She was about 9 m tall and her entire body was blurry. Her figure was graceful and alluring. Yes, master. The female servant replied respectfully. She received the mini-quantum computer, following which she connected to the virtual universe. Sirius looked excitedly at this scene, glancing at Luo Feng a few times. Luo Feng watched silently. He too was connected to the virtual universe to monitor everything. Luo Feng's authority was extremely high. He could already be considered one of the upper echelons of humanity, even though he wasn't the highest. However, as the direct disciple of the primal Chaos City leader and entering the ranks of the strongest geniuses, his authority was extremely high. In fact, he had created a local area network for the anonymous account, which meant that anonymous account, no matter what it did, in truth it was just him playing alone. For example, playing virtual reality games, there would be many players. For example, drinking on the streets, there would indeed be many people in the bars. However, in truth, this was all a simulation. Many places in the virtual universe had been simulated. At least Luo Feng wouldn't be able to tell it was fake. No matter what you're doing, if you want to send a message, just do it. It's a pity you're in the private virtual universe network. You're completely cut off from the entire virtual universe network. Luo Feng thought. Hee, this female servant has entered the game? The third-ranked virtual reality game. This is a virtual reality game with over 30 million years of history. Luo Feng watched everything. As humanity's history was endless and long, there were indeed many virtual reality games that were played by many people. A complete virtual reality game that lasted for over 100 million years was normal. As long as one could earn a lot of money, the game would naturally be able to continue. The female servant, she released a bounty mission for the entire game? Luo Feng discovered through his monitor that after the female servant entered the game, she first transferred some money from a small anonymous account in the Universe First Bank. After which, she released a bounty mission for the entire game. After that, she did a few other things. After staying in the game for a while, she went offline. Within the palace, Sirius looked at the female servant. She replied respectfully, Master, there's no response. Human. Sirius stared at Luo Feng. His jade eyes were filled with madness. You're playing with me. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 958. Right, I was toying with you. But you were toying with me too. Luo Feng looked at the huge being before him, raging and snorting coldly. Human, how did I toy with you? Everything went according to what we said. I'll first verify it. Don't tell me I toyed with you. Sirius roared. Sirius, do you really think I'm that stupid? I haven't even gotten the Beast God Inheritance token, and I'm letting you connect to the virtual universe? If I really did that, then I'd be the dumbest. Luo Feng sneered. The Beast God Inheritance token is still with you. I'll give you an anonymous account in the virtual universe and let you connect to the virtual universe. I'm afraid your verification is just to send a message back to the Demon Clan. Sirius was slightly stunned. What a smart move, doing a public mission in a virtual game. This virtual game has countless players. Luo Feng sneered. Countless players know about this. I'm afraid there are spies from your Demon Clan. Hee. Your moves are powerful. Even the virtual universe system can't determine which of the countless players are the spies. Sirius snorted coldly. Using such a move, you can easily send the message back. Luo Feng seemed to smile as he looked at the huge mountain like Sirius. Sirius, when that time comes, this sensor of mine will be useless to you. Your goal will be achieved, and the Beast God Inheritance token is still with you. You say, you'll give it to me? I'll do what I say. Sirius said solemnly. Bullshit. Luo Feng sneered. Trusting the guarantee of a foreign enemy, that's the biggest joke. Sirius was stunned, hesitating for a moment. Sirius, tell me, how can I trust you? Luo Feng looked at him. Sirius looked at the human before him. One of the royal demon clan. Sirius was naturally cruel and cunning, and he was one of the best, extremely good at disguising himself. Even after being locked in the ice prison for countless years, he had always played the role of a benevolent person, only occasionally revealing his true nature. He was indeed using the Beast God Inheritance token to lure the human. The verification was indeed to send the message. As long as there was a response, it meant the message had been sent out. Even if the human were to close it, it wouldn't matter. When that happened, he naturally wouldn't have to give the human the Beast God Inheritance token. What do you think we should do? Sirius asked in a low voice. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, let's not play any tricks. Let's not play any tricks. Luo Feng looked at Skywolf. One sentence. Give me the Beast God Inheritance token. I'll give you another sensor. No. Sirius roared. I gave you the Beast God's Inheritance token. What if you escape? Haha, the leader of the Southern Ice Hell. You're afraid I'll escape? Luo Feng looked at him. Your escaping ability. Who doesn't know of it in ice prison? Sirius's green eyes stared at Luo Feng. My escaping abilities are impressive, but you, Skywolf, are also invincible Regis Godfiends. Luo Feng slightly shook his head. If you don't agree, then I have no other choice. Or you can suggest a way that I can trust. Sirius hesitated for a long time. He didn't expect it. He couldn't think of any other way to gain the trust of this cunning and cautious human. If you don't make a decision, then I'm leaving. Luo Feng shook his head and laughed. One Beast God Inheritance token. If you can never leave the ice prison, what use is it? Wait a minute. Sirius stared at Luo Feng, hesitating. Good. I'll give you the Beast God's Inheritance token. Sirius roared. You have to activate the authority of the virtual universe. If it's still fake, Sirius swear. I'll use all my strength and put a bounty on the ice prison, letting all the warriors in the ice prison search for you, chasing you endlessly throughout the entire ice prison. Relax. Luo Feng smiled. I believe in the human's reputation. Believing in a foreign enemy, that's foolish. Sirius roared softly. the beast god's inheritance token in his claw flew straight towards Luo Feng. So you know about it too. Luo Feng extended his hand to receive it. The hexagonal tablet was heavy. Holding it in his hand, it felt extraordinary. He couldn't help but feel excited within, thinking, I've acquired the beast god's inheritance token. With it, I can exchange it for another inheritance token within the clan. Ancestral god sect's special inheritance? That's even higher than the demon note inheritance. Who knows, maybe I'll have a huge gain. The authority has been activated. Luo Feng looked at Sirius. Good. Sirius turned his head, gazing at the little female servant. Go verify it again. Yes, master. The female servant replied respectfully, following which her consciousness connected to the virtual universe. Luo Feng watched silently, his consciousness too connected to the virtual universe. Virtual universe, Thunder Island's highest point, Primal Chaos City Leader's Palace. Ever since he had checked the Ancestral God Sect and the Beast God's inheritance tokens information, even before Sirius had discovered anything, Luo Feng had already come to pay his respects to the Primal Chaos City Leader. Within the palace, chaos energy emanated. Teacher, Luo Feng said respectfully. Looking for me so urgently, what's the matter? The Primal Chaos City Leader's voice resounded from within the energy. Regarding the Beast God's inheritance token, Luo Feng said. A golden-robed silhouette walked out of the energy. The Primal Chaos City Leader walked over and looked at Luo Feng. That calm like the endless starry sky eyes had a sense of shock. Towards this disciple of Luo Feng, even though he wasn't happy with Luo Feng splitting his attention earlier, he had to admit, Luo Feng's luck wasn't normal. Before in the outer region battlefield, Luo Feng used the identity of Blade River Emperor to battle Black Razor Emperor. This news had long spread. The Primal Chaos City Leader was so concerned about this disciple, how could he not know? Back then, even though Luo Feng had retired and closed the virtual universe synchronized teleportation, there were many human warriors around, hence there were many recordings. After the Primal Chaos City Leader watched, he was first shocked that Luo Feng actually used his Sector Lord body to battle Black Razor Emperor, following which he confirmed, those black ball-like objects should belong to a set of treasures. Just like how treasures had differences in quality, treasures too had differences in quality. From their functions, one could tell which was higher and which was higher. Offensive treasures usually weren't as valuable as defensive treasures. And defensive treasures weren't as valuable as sealing treasures. And in terms of power, there were differences too, and amongst the many treasures, the set treasure's power was definitely at the top. Just like the 7-Blade Emperor's set of 7 blades, that was a set treasure. Earlier in the outer region battlefield, this disciple of mine had already acquired a set of defensive treasures. How did he get the Beast God inheritance token in the blink of an eye? The Primal Chaos City Leader was shocked. The Beast God inheritance token was definitely comparable to a set of treasures in terms of value. That was the highest inheritance of the Ancestral God Sect. Please allow me to describe it in detail. Luo Feng said. Speak in detail. The Primal Chaos City Leader said. Yes, this disciple is heading to the Wu Hua secret region. Luo Feng began to describe, only hiding the fact that his true goal was to find the black metal board. The rest was more or less the same. Being imprisoned in the ice prison, I'm not panicking. After all, my core is outside, only my earth body is imprisoned. I'll treat it as my training ground. Even though the 5 tycoons in the ice prison are all very powerful, to the point where they can be considered invincible emperor level. However, I still have a certain level of confidence. Because these 5 tycoons have very few treasures, even defensive treasures are rare. Luo Feng said, I'm planning to train myself there, especially when I finish the 3rd chapter of the 7 Changes of the God. When that time comes, I'll be able to unleash the 2nd form of the Wu Killer Wings, and cause space turbulence. With the 2nd form's power, even a Universe Knight won't be able to easily seal me, much less the 5 Tycoon seals. time stopping, etc. My speed is invincible, I'm completely invincible. And my current strength is very close to the 5 tycoons, not much different. When I train to the 3rd chapter, my strength will improve again. I'm confident I can suppress and heavily injure them. Back then I bought many treasures. As long as I can defeat and control an emperor invincible, I'll give the purple clock to that invincible. With the defensive treasures and an emperor's servant, I'm confident I can take care of them one by one. Luo Feng said respectfully. That's my original plan. I'll train there for 10,000 years, fighting them one by one. Luo Feng said. The primal Chaos City leader nodded as he heard. This Luo Feng was indeed filled with fighting spirit, just a sector lord body, and he actually had the confidence to fight an emperor invincible, even though those 5 could only be considered fake. After all, they had too few treasures. Without enough treasures, they couldn't even compare to true Yen Emperor and the others. But I've discovered the Beast God Inheritance Token, Luo Feng said respectfully, after which he explained everything with Sky Wolf. If Sky Wolf enters, then I'll safely acquire the token. If he sees through it, then I'll have to think of a way to acquire it first. Luo Feng said respectfully, looking at the Beast God Inheritance Token. Your disciple can no longer endure staying in the ice prison for over 10,000 years. Your disciple wants to leave. I want to go to the inheritance grounds. I want to make myself stronger. And if I don't stay for 10,000 years, just by relying on me, I won't be able to leave. Hence I'll have to rely on teacher. Luo Feng said respectfully. Teacher, once I get the token, I'll have to give the sensor to Skywolf. Luo Feng said, the first plan is for me to get the token and flee. With my survival abilities, Sky Wolf won't be able to do anything to me. I'll just wait for teacher to bring me out. The second plan is for him to connect to the virtual universe, allowing him to send messages. When the demon warriors descend, teacher will appear too. These 2 plans, please guide me. Luo Feng said respectfully. If teacher thinks neither is suitable, I can patiently stay there for 10,000 years. Luo Feng said. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng, after which he laughed heartily. Haha, look at you, you're already thinking about the inheritance grounds. How would you have the patience to stay there, You can let Sky Wolf send the message. With his position, even though he's invincible emperor now, back then he was still very weak. The demon race wouldn't completely believe his words. To be able to invite a Universe Lord level warrior is already not bad. If they were to send a Universe Lord, that would be even more unbelievable. No matter, even if it's a Universe Lord, I can still suppress it. You should first get the Beast God Inheritance Token. In case the demon race sends a Universe Lord, protect Sky Wolf. It'll be hard for me to steal the token. The primal Chaos City leader ordered. This token is considered a treasure too. My clone has nothing to do in the primal universe too. For a treasure like this, I'll have to go on a killing spree. It's worth it to just move out and get a token. Yes. Luo Feng said respectfully. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng, his heart filled with anticipation. He felt that this disciple's opportunities were indeed exceptional. Such opportunities to stay in one place for 10,000 years was indeed a pity. If he let Luo Feng go to the inheritance grounds, who knows, he might even have some opportunities. After all, ever since he became his disciple, no matter where Luo Feng went, he always surprised him. Only this disciple's insistence on being a spirit reader and fighter at the same time gave him a headache. Chapter 959. Ice Prison, Sky Wolf's Palace. Sky Wolf was anxious, worried and looking expectantly at his female servant. That female servant was currently connecting to the virtual universe to verify. Countless eras have been trapped here. Whether or not we can get out will depend on this. Serious glossy green eyes couldn't help but burst forth with an ominous glint. This was its true nature. I must make contact, I must. Time passed minute by minute, but Sirius felt that every second felt like a year. The female servant opened her eyes. Done. Sky Wolf roared softly. Master, there's a reply. The female servant replied respectfully. There's a reply? Sky Wolf's huge god body trembled slightly, the blood in his body began to boil. Over the long years, he had never been so excited before. Ha ha ha, good good good. Sky Wolf couldn't help but raise his head and howl. The howl resounded from within the palace. Luo Feng watched from the side. Sky Wolf, Luo Feng said. Ha ha, human, you really keep to your words. Sky Wolf gazed at Luo Feng. The reply naturally meant that once the news was confirmed, it would be sent to his teacher. Knowing that he was about to leave, how could he not be excited? The Sky Wolf before was calm like an ice mountain, but now he was filled with fighting spirit, almost like a volcano about to erupt. Then I'll leave first. Luo Feng smiled. Ha ha, Sky Wolf laughed. Then I won't send you off. There was a rumbling sound as the palace doors opened. Luo Feng glanced at it and with a flap of his wings, he became a beam of light and vanished. Congratulations, Master! Congratulations, Master! Congratulations, Master! The servants within the palace all immediately celebrated. Sky Wolf, however, communicated mentally, no need to speak in detail. Even though that green nightmare Knight can't always pay attention to everything within the ice prison, it would still be troublesome if he finds out. Before we leave, don't cause any trouble. We'll just wait quietly. I believe in 1 or 2 days we'll be able to leave. Sky Wolf raised his head and looked through the palace doors at the endless ice world outside. He thought within, human, I don't want to cause any trouble. I'll leave this inheritance token with you for now. When the super-existences of the demon race descend, the beast god's token of inheritance will still be mine to offer to the demon race. Ha ha ha! Sirius couldn't help but let out a burst of laughter. However, this time, he deliberately controlled his laughter so that it only echoed in the hall. Not long after Luo Feng flew out of the palace, Extreme Rainbow Emperor appeared beside him and teleported far away. In the depths of the snowy land of the Eastern Ice Prison, within Luo Feng's nest, the beast god's token of inheritance is in my hands. Luo Feng was overjoyed within. I didn't expect the ancestral god sect to be so strong. The positions of the 8 great beast gods, right, the golden pool that the 7 sword emperors took out back then had beast god carvings on it. Luo Feng's mind suddenly replayed the scene of the Life Destruction King leading his subordinates to ambush the 7 sword kings when the Sealing Star had appeared. The 7 sword kings had taken out a special golden pool that should be related to the ancestor god cult. It seems like the 7 sword kings have also obtained a special inheritance. Luo Feng was filled with anticipation. I too shall go take a look at the highest level of the ancestral god sect's beast god inheritance grounds, to see what it's like. Serious. I'll have to thank you this time. Luo Feng looked up and smiled. I wonder which demon race being serious can invite out, whether or not he can compare to my teacher, the primal Chaos City leader. The demon race had indeed set up many information networks within the human virtual universe. However, normal demon undyings didn't have the right to use them. Even the demon emperor undyings and the other elites of the race were forbidden from using them under normal circumstances. Only during special situations and important moments could they occasionally use them. Because every time they used the network, it was very dangerous. Even if they were already very cautious and used many methods, the virtual universe system's surveillance was everywhere. Even the slightest clue would be noticed. Hence, every time they used the virtual universe, there was always the possibility of exposing a certain information network. The price was extremely high. See, Boa is actually still alive. Demon territory, on an incredibly flourishing planet, lived countless young demon race. However, on the planet where the countless young demon race lived, there lived a powerful universe knight from the royal demon race, the Sky Wolf race. Si Boa is my third disciple. He's the disciple I took in when I just became a knight. I've lost contact with him for who knows how long. He's actually still alive. A2M Long, its entire body covered in green feathers, seemed to be very happy in the quiet palace. It let out a low growl. And he's even trained to the invincible emperor level. Ha 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 ha, trapped in a place like the ice prison, without any resources or guidance from a teacher, he's actually still able to train to the invincible emperor level. Haha, back then I thought Si Boa was the one with the highest chance of becoming a knight in my Sky Wolf race. Looks like my guess was right. If he could get resources and guidance from his race, he would have long become a knight. This seemingly normal-looking Sky Wolf's 4 hooves paced back and forth. Suddenly a voice resounded. Teacher, you've come out? In the main hall of the majestic palace, a heavenly wolf that was over 10 kilometers long slowly appeared. Then, it rapidly shrunk to 2 meters long. This undying heavenly wolf was the other disciple of this universe sovereign, and also the master of this entire planet. I still have matters to attend to. The green sky wolf growled before disappearing. I'll be back in a few days. Yes, teacher. Deep within the demon territory, in the endless starry sky, a palace floated, surrounded by flames. Balls of black, white, purple, red, green, blue, all sorts of flames, each as large as a star, revolved around the palace. If one was further away, they wouldn't even be able to see this. Clearly, the spacetime around the palace was already distorted, forming its own spacetime. This floating palace was also shaped like a solidified flame. The palace was silent and deathly still. In the huge square in front of the palace, a hazy shadow appeared out of thin air, and then condensed into a green wolf that was more than 10 kilometers long. Leader. The green sky wolf respectfully prostrated. Within this solidified flame palace, the eye-like sculpture suddenly blinked, and the entire palace let out a rumbling sound. Leader, I just received news from my disciple. This disciple of mine was a disciple I accepted when I had just become a universe knight. I had high hopes for him, but not long after he became my disciple, he disappeared. The green sky wolf respectfully said. His name is Si Boa. The rumbling voice said. I know him. A long time ago, his name was on the list of people who could be revived by reversing spacetime. I tried reversing spacetime to revive him, but I failed. I was unable to revive him. Back then, I thought that he was being controlled by another expert, but it turns out that he was still alive. Si Boa had disappeared. Although his strength back then wasn't as heaven-defying as it was now, as a newly advanced genius of the Sky Wolf race, he had the qualifications to be revived by the race by reversing spacetime. Unfortunately, the revival had failed, and he was naturally forgotten. I've received news of him. The green sky wolf respectfully prostrated. He is currently in the Wu Hua Secret Realm's ice prison. He has been trapped there for countless years. The Purple Sea Pirates and Blue Nightmare Pirates ice prison? The rumbling voice said. Yes, leader. The green sky wolf respectfully prostrated. He has been imprisoned in the ice prison without any resources or expert to guide him. Now, he has cultivated to the level of an invincible sealed emperor. Invincible sealed emperor. The rumbling voice was slightly surprised. He doesn't dare to lie. The green sky wolf said. Leader, I want to save my disciple, but facing Sir Blue Nightmare Pirates and Sir Purple Sea Pirates, especially Sir Purple Sea Pirates, he's one of the 72 god generals of the Ancestor God sect. I don't have the slightest confidence in bringing my disciple back. Therefore, I wish to invite Sir Tianhua. However, I'm afraid that Sir Tianhua won't give me face. Therefore, I hope that leader can speak to him. Sir Tianhua was ranked second in the Sky Wolf race. He was extremely powerful. Although he was at the peak of the universe supremacy level, he had the combat power of an ordinary universe lord. He was definitely a universe overlord. The number one expert in the Sky Wolf race was the Sky Wolf Lord. He was also the owner of this palace. If Tianhua were to appear, with the deterrence of our demon race, Sir Blue Nightmare Pirates and Sir Purple Sea Pirates would definitely not dare to not give us face. The Green Sky Wolf said. Tianhua is currently in danger. I have no way of contacting him. I don't know when he will return after leaving the Origin universe. A rumbling voice came from within the palace. Since it's an invincible sealed emperor of my Sky Wolf race, I'll go personally. Leader, you'll go personally. The Green Sky Wolf hurriedly prostrated in gratitude. If Spoa knew, he would definitely be excited, grateful, and honored. I haven't seen Sir Purple Sea Pirates in a long time. Suddenly, around the floating palace, balls of flames the size of stars began to rapidly fly towards the palace. Every ball of flame rapidly shrunk as it approached the palace, turning into tiny flames that rapidly merged with the solidified flame sculptures within the palace. The moment they merged, the entire palace's aura began to grow stronger. In just a short while, the countless flames surrounding the palace all disappeared. Instead, the solidified flame sculptures within the palace began to faintly emit flames. This is a supreme treasure. Seeing this, the Green Sky Wolf was secretly envious. This palace. This was the greatest supreme treasure of the entire Sky Wolf race, the Sky Wolf Palace. It was a supreme treasure that the Sky Wolf Lord had obtained not long after the universe was born. I'm going. The entire palace disappeared into thin air. Only the Green Sky Wolf was left floating in the starry sky. His green eyes were filled with joy. Leader, you'll definitely be able to bring Spoa back. P.S. Here's the second chapter. Continue writing the third chapter. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 960. Wu Hua Secret Region, Ice Prison Starbelt. A towering palace shrouded in faint flames appeared out of thin air. The moment the palace appeared, it seemed to have become the core of the entire ice prison stellar belt. An incomparably powerful and brutal pressure enveloped the entire ice prison stellar belt, causing those bandits who were having fun on the ice prison planet and in the stellar belt river to shiver in fear. Sky Wolf Master, why are you suppressing the little fellows? A purple and green beam of light streaked across the sky and arrived before this floating palace. My arrival, they naturally have to bow down to me. A rumbling voice resounded from within the palace. A silhouette wrapped in flames slowly walked out. Like the incarnation of the laws of the universe. His entire body was covered in flames. His entire body was pitch black like ink as he walked slowly. The surrounding space was completely suppressed by him. At this moment, the owner of the entire space in the ice prison star belt was him. Even Qing Xioko Sir and Zi Xioko Sir had to show respect. He was the noblest being from the Sky Wolf race, one of the royal races of the monster race. Sky Wolf Master. My Sky Wolf race has a tribesman imprisoned in your ice prison. Sky Wolf Master's voice rumbled, causing the entire space to tremble. Let him out. Qing Xioko Sir and Zi Xioko Sir glanced at each other. The monster race had so many people, yet they had only imprisoned one undying. Yet, the Sky Wolf Master had appeared. Sky Wolf Master, please wait a moment. After which, he waved his hand and a cylindrical ice pillar appeared in his palm. Since he had discovered the arrival of the Skywolf Sovereign, he naturally brought his own treasure with him. The ice prison was a suppression-type treasure and was extremely precious. Not only that, it was also very compatible with the talent of Paragon King Wenku. In his hands, the might of the ice prison was truly boundless. Out! Supremacy Qingfu Koz will entered the ice prison and locked onto Sirius, easily kicking him out of the ice prison. The snow-white Sirius tumbled in the starry sky for a while before stabilizing himself. Then, he looked around and his green eyes were filled with ecstasy. When he saw the purple and green figures in the distance, he saw the palace bathed in flames, and the majestic black Sirius that was filled with endless pressure. He couldn't help but think of the legends of the Sirius clan, and he immediately revealed a look of disbelief. Leader. Sibua hurriedly prostrated himself, extremely excited. The legendary leader of the Heavenly Wolf clan. The eternal leader. Zishueko, how strong is this member of my Heavenly Wolf tribe? The black Heavenly Wolf surrounded in flames looked at Zishueko. Even though Venerable Zishueko had a grudge against Master Tianlang, he had no choice but to endure it. After all, Master Tianlang wasn't a cosmic lord without a powerful treasure. Master Tianlang, this little guy is quite strong. He's ranked top 5 in the ice prison. If he has a few more suitable treasures, he can rival other titled monarchs. You knew that he was a member of my Heavenly Wolf clan, someone with such talent, yet you still imprisoned him? The Heavenly Wolf Lord's voice rumbled. He was imprisoned in my ice prison. Green Furry Ko's face was filled with anger. Lord Celestial Wolf looked at Supremacy Qingfu Ko. Boom! An invisible shockwave swept across Qin Yanko, causing him to fly backward like a meteor. Half of his divine body was shattered, and then he reformed. Who allowed you to speak? Lord Celestial Wolf's voice contained a hint of anger. A cold glint flashed across his eyes, causing Zishueko's heart to palpitate. Lord Celestial Wolf. Zishueko shouted. Don't worry, because of you, I won't truly harm him. Lord Celestial Wolf's anger dissipated. It's just a small punishment. Green Furry Ko flew back to Zishueko's side. He was clearly filled with anger, yet he could only endure it. Zishueko smiled. Lord Celestial Wolf, we've released your clansmen. The matter is over. If Lord Celestial Wolf wishes to reminisce, we can go to the ice prison planet. I can also invite a few friends to accompany you. No need. Lord Celestial Wolf glanced at Zishueko, then at Spoa. Spoa respectfully prostrated and transmitted his voice. Leader, there's a human in the ice prison. He has the beast god token of inheritance. He didn't dare to say that he was the one who gave the token to the human. He didn't want to incur the wrath of this great existence that he had only heard of in the past. The beast god token of inheritance? Lord Celestial Wolf immediately looked at Zishueko. Your ice prison has another human imprisoned. Release him as well, I'll take him away. Lord Celestial Wolf said. Being able to obtain a beast god token of inheritance with just one sentence was worth it. After all, the token was a restricted resource even for a clan. It was extremely rare. A human? Zishueko and Qing Furry Ko glanced at each other. Not good, they were in big trouble. There's no human. Zishueko shook his head. You dare say there's no human? Lord Celestial Wolf's voice exploded, causing the surrounding space-time to tremble and distort like the ocean. Did you forget that my clansmen just came out? Of course, I know there's a human inside. No. Zishueko shook his head. Haikao and Qing Yanko did not dare to casually hand over the human. They had already contacted the mountain guest and confirmed that the human was the one that the mountain guest wanted to train and train. What kind of existence was Mountain Guest? How could Lord Celestial Wolf compare to Mountain Guest? If they offended Mountain Guest, they could still live. If they offended Mountain Guest, even the ancestral god sect wouldn't be able to protect them. There's no human. Qing Furry Ko also shook his head. That little guy must have remembered wrongly. There was a human in the past, but that human died a long time ago. The Celestial Wolf Master was surprised that Biku and Qing Biku refused to release the human. Beside him, Celestial Wolf Spoa was also looking at the Celestial Wolf Master, waiting for a signal. If the Celestial Wolf Master gave up, he would obediently say, "The human might be dead, I haven't seen him for an era." If the Celestial Wolf Master insisted on taking the human away, he would say, "I saw him just now." Interesting. Lord Celestial Wolf's voice boomed. Who is this human? Looks like he has quite a background. Lord Celestial Wolf stood in front of the majestic palace and looked down at the two venerables. Could it be that a supreme existence of the human race made an agreement with you two, so you two would rather disobey me? Haha. Of course, I'll ruin the human race's plans. Hand over the human. Lord Celestial Wolf's eyes flashed with a ferocious glint. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to take him. Leader, they're lying. I saw that human just before I came out. Sibua hastily shouted. Did you hear that? Lord Celestial Wolf looked down at the two venerables. Lord Celestial Wolf. Shueko angrily said, Are you going to fight us for a human? I advise you to give up on that human. Ching Furry Ko also angrily said, Lord Celestial Wolf. The two of them had already secretly notified Mountain Guest. Mountain Guest's methods were unfathomable, so he naturally received the news quickly. However, Mountain Guest's response was very strange. Release that human youth. Do what you need to do. You don't need to worry about anything else. Don't expose my relationship with this human. Hand over the human. Lord Celestial Wolf's voice rumbled. No matter how powerful his background is, even if he's a disciple favored by the creator of the huge axe, as long as he's a human, the demon race naturally has nothing to fear. Shueko and Ching Furry Ko exchanged glances. Even though they were curious as to why Mountain Guest didn't want them to worry about him or even expose his relationship with the human, as long as the two of them mentioned Mountain Guest's name, Lord Celestial Wolf would definitely leave with his tail between his legs. Since Mountain Guest has already said so, why should we resist? The two venerables exchanged glances. All right. Shueko nodded. We'll release him. Eastern Ice Prison, deep within the snowy lands. Luo Feng sat within the hall, silently waiting. He estimated that in 1 or 2 days, the Primal Chaos City's leader would bring him away. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire ice prison's suppressive energy pressed down on him. Simultaneously, a spatial crack appeared in front of him, and he was squeezed out without any resistance. The scenery changed. Luo Feng's divine body rolled a little, and with a flap of his wings, he floated in space. It should be teacher. Luo Feng guessed. At the same time, he looked around and was stunned. In the distance stood two silhouettes. It was Ching Furry Ko and Shueko respectively. In another direction floated a majestic palace bathed in flames. The formless pressure it emitted was simply terrifying. It far exceeded the heaven erosion palace Luo Feng had seen before. And that black skywolf that seemed to be the master of the surrounding space made Luo Feng's heart tremble. Beside the black skywolf was a respectful snow-white skywolf. It's Skywolf, Luo Feng thought. Human. Skywolf Sibua gazed at Luo Feng. He was filled with pride. Look at you, you're still proud. The beast god inheritance token is only temporarily with you. Once the leader arrives, not only will the token have to be given to me, even your life will be gone. Sky Wolf's leader gazed at Luo Feng. Your background doesn't seem to be normal. Sky Wolf's leader's voice rumbled. It's a pity that you have to die, and the human race can forget about reviving you. Luo Feng's expression changed. Where's teacher? Why isn't he here yet? He should have arrived long ago. Die. Sky Wolf's cold and disdainful voice resounded. Chong. Dong. Hu. Ja. All sorts of sounds suddenly resounded. The sounds were very soft, but they resounded within the hearts of all the warriors present. Just like on the Ice Hell planet, the bandit warriors within the Star Belt River, who were being pressured by the pressure, all had these faint sounds within their hearts. Luo Feng and Sky Wolf Sibua heard it too. The other two knights heard it too. Even the Sky Wolf leader heard it. Within the vast Ice Hell Star Belt, a vast and indistinct space river appeared in mid-air. The width of the river covered the entire Ice Hell Star Belt. It was at least a few light years wide and seemingly endless, almost as though it reached the end of space. In this blurry river, there were all kinds of strange objects floating, each of them exuding a terrifying pressure. Thousand Treasure River. Purple Sea Knight was shocked. It's Thousand Treasure River. Green Sea Knight's eyes revealed a look of schadenfreude as he looked at Sky Wolf Leader. Sky Wolf Leader's eyes revealed a look of shock and rage. Standing in front of Sky Wolf Palace, he roared, "Primal Chaos City Leader, since you're here, show yourself." The flames around his body fiercely erupted and surged towards the surrounding space. However, the space river suddenly emitted an immense pressure, extinguishing all the flames. Sky Wolf Palace was like a small boat, rocking in the wide river, as though it could capsize at any moment. P.S. 3 chapters completed. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 961. The group of Weak Bandit and the weaker ones present, Luo Feng and Si Bua, all stared wide-eyed at this scene. That Thousand Treasure River was just a river, its projection shrouded the endless space, hence it seemed blurry and blurry. However, its overwhelming power was something even the Sky Wolf Palace could barely defend against. "This is my first time seeing it, it's indeed powerful and unstoppable," Qing Fu Knight exclaimed softly. "Legend has it that the Thousand Treasure River is formed from over 1,000 treasures. If it's broken down, that's over 1,000 treasures." Broken down? Such a treasure, who would bear to break it down? This Thousand Treasure River's birth, the many treasures it contains are meant to complement each other. If it's broken down and left alone, these treasures all have flaws, they'll probably only have the power of an absolute treasure. Only when they're gathered together to form a Thousand Treasure River would it be an absolute treasure that can dominate the universe. Purple Fu Knight sighed. "You haven't seen the scene of the Primal Chaos City Leader's massacre. The one using the river is just one of his clones. His main body is even stronger than this." "I've heard of it too." Qing Fu Knight nodded. "The Primal Chaos City Leader, one clone oversees the primal universe. He's unrivaled. One remains in the actual universe, overseeing the virtual universe company. The strongest body is the main killer." Luo Feng naturally couldn't hear the conversation between Qing Fu Knight and Purple Fu Knight. "Teacher is truly powerful, just one clone and it's already so powerful." Luo Feng looked at the endless river projection around him, looking at the Sky Wolf Leader who was working hard to control Sky Wolf Palace. He admired his teacher even more. "Teacher Mountain Passenger thinks that when I become the Universe Lord and control the Star Pagoda, I'll be able to suppress the Primal Chaos City Leader?" Luo Feng couldn't help but be filled with fighting spirit, such power, it was unbelievable. As long as the Primal Chaos City Leader was willing, with just a thought, a few light years of space would be completely obliterated. "Sky Wolf Leader, with your position, you still want to kill my human descendant, that's a bit too much." A majestic 10,000 kilometers tall silhouette stepped on the waves of the Thousand Treasure River, wielding a huge stone rod, strolling over. "This is..." Luo Feng's heart trembled. This was the first time he had seen his teacher's other doppelganger in the real world. That towering body was over 10,000 kilometers tall, and its skin was silvery white. There were many antennae on its head, and there were actually more than 1,000 antennae. That pair of eyes that were like large lakes were very calm, and there was a sense of peace. He walked over barefoot on the waves, holding a mottled stone staff that was full of scars. The stone staff seemed to have been ravaged. He wore ordinary clothes, but the clothes seemed to have thousands of tools that emitted sounds that could pierce through one's soul. Every single thread on the clothes was like a surging river. This special life form? Luo Feng could tell with one look that this was definitely a special life form. There wasn't a single race within the human race that looked like this. And its 10,000 kilometers height, If it wasn't originally that tall, intentionally making it that tall would only cause its power to drop. This is the primal Chaos City leader. Even Si Bua was dumbstruck. Even though he didn't want to believe it, he had to admit. This primal Chaos City leader was indeed stronger than the eternal leader of the Sky Wolf clan, the Sky Wolf leader. He actually managed to invite the primal Chaos City leader? Si Bua looked at Luo Feng in disbelief. When the primal Chaos City leader wielded the broken stone rod and wore the 1,000 treasure robe, he walked over barefoot on the waves. The Sky Wolf leader's rage was immediately suppressed. Primal Chaos City leader, looks like this human is indeed a junior that you highly value. You actually came personally. The Sky Wolf leader stood on the palace walls, his entire body covered in flames, his voice rumbling. For that punk, didn't you come too? The primal Chaos City leader looked at the tiny Sky Wolf leader. In terms of size, the difference between the two was huge. However, in terms of formless pressure, even though the Sky Wolf leader was obviously weaker, they were still on the same level. Unlike Qing Ruku and Zi Haikao, who had completely become weeds, the primal Chaos City leader and the Sky Wolf leader didn't even look at Zi Haikao and the others. As for Luo Feng and Si Bua, they were like two ants under the weeds. Even the weeds could easily restrict them. I just casually rushed over. Within the flames, the Sky Wolf leader's gaze suddenly landed on Luo Feng. However, you are different. The treasure this human has on him, it should be from you, right? Luo Feng was shocked when he heard this. Treasure? He has a treasure? Sky Wolf Si Bua was even more shocked as he looked at Luo Feng. Treasure? Zi Haikao and Qing Ruku looked shocked too at Luo Feng. They didn't even know. Luo Feng actually had a treasure on him. Let me check. The Sky Wolf leader's voice resounded. Blade River Emperor? Haha, interesting. I didn't expect a sector lord to use a treasure to hide his energy and disguise himself as an undying, to actually make such a name for himself. This disciple of yours isn't any weaker than the fallen Kudi from before. Let me guess what treasure he used to hide his energy. The report said the Blade River Emperor's speed was extremely fast, ridiculously fast? Looks like this feather is very likely a treasure. Primal Chaos City leader, do you think I'm right? Zi Haikao and Qing Ruku, along with Sky Wolf Si Bua, were completely shocked. Sector Lord? He's actually just a Sector Lord? A Sector Lord was actually able to safely escape from Silver Eye? Si Bua was stunned. Treasure, it must be a treasure that allowed him to be so strong. How powerful. No wonder Mountain Guest wanted to nurture and temper this junior. Mountain Guest is one of the strongest experts in the cosmos. Indeed, he regards Qin Wentian as extraordinary, being able to have such strength and fame at the World Overlord realm. Zi Haikao and Qing Ruku exclaimed, if they had known earlier that Luo Feng had a treasure, they would definitely have been moved. However, even if they were moved, they wouldn't have dared to snatch it. Luo Feng was shocked within, looking at the Sky Wolf leader before the palace. Mountain Traveler teacher was right. Of the 3 treasures I have, the Pagoda Pearl, the Star Map and the Killing Wu Feather have never appeared. As long as I don't unleash too much power, the strongest in the universe won't be able to recognize me. My speed is shockingly fast, that's why they suspect me? However, Sky Wolf leader is indeed powerful. One look and he can tell I'm a Sector Lord. The treasure concealing my aura looks like it can only fool the universe warriors. Luo Feng wasn't shocked. Just like his big senior Pu Ti and Mountain Traveler, they could tell he was a Sector Lord with one look. The treasure concealing technique wasn't invincible. The primal Chaos City leader's voice rumbled. A normal treasure, what's wrong with giving it to our human race's younger generation? The younger generation has to be provided with sufficient resources to be nurtured, only then can we produce enough absolute beings. Our human race has fewer undyings than you, however, we have more pinnacle beings than your demon race. Why is that? It's because we're willing, you're not, only with sacrifice can you gain. Haha, you're the Sky Wolf leader, are you willing to give your subordinate Sky Wolf a treasure? Sibua's heart trembled as he heard. Treasure? He too could get a treasure? He couldn't help but look at the Sky Wolf leader, after which he lowered his head, not daring to look. This treasure could only be bestowed by the Sky Wolf leader. How could he have the right to ask for it? Your human race is so strong, isn't it all because of the virtual universe? The trillions of races in the universe, who doesn't know that? The Sky Wolf leader's voice rumbled. As for how I nurture my Sky Wolf clan's younger generation, it's not up to you to care. Today. I don't wish to speak more with you, I'll leave first. He immediately brought Sibua into the Sky Wolf Palace. Haha, the primal Chaos City leader however laughed, his laughter mixed with the Thousand Treasure River, causing it to rumble, causing the Sky Wolf Palace to sway. Humph! The Sky Wolf leader snorted softly from within the palace, following which the palace became a beam of light and flew away, reaching light speed before entering the dark universe. Obviously within the range of the Thousand Treasure River, even the Sky Wolf leader, with the power of the Sky Wolf Palace, was unable to teleport away. This Sky Wolf is still so arrogant. The primal Chaos City leader shook his head, after which he looked at Zi Haikao and Qin Yanko. Both of you, thank you for taking care of my human younger generation these 2,000 years. The primal Chaos City leader said, following which he brought Luo Feng and vanished, the endless Thousand Treasure River too vanished. Thank. Qin Yanko was stunned. This primal Chaos City leader still dares to thank. That's true. Didn't the rumors say this primal Chaos City leader was incomparably tyrannical? Why does it seem like he has such a good temper? Good? Zi Haikao sneered. You didn't see the scene of the primal Chaos City leader's slaughter. The Sky Wolf leader's nature is arrogant, hence he dared to speak more. However, didn't you notice? He too left after a few words, and even after suffering a loss, he only snorted and didn't say much. Humanity's 5 great powers, the Virtual Universe Company and the Battleaxe Dojo, are on the same level, this primal Chaos City leader as the person in charge of the Virtual Universe Company. Just because he has a good temper, how could he intimidate them? If he had a good temper, how could his true body be famous for killing? Qin Yanko blinked his eyes. Be careful, the pinnacle beings of the 6 great clans, which one of them isn't vicious and merciless, if there's a need, they could easily wipe us out. Zi Haikao said solemnly. Qin Yanko nodded. After a god-country transfer and a million light-years teleportation, the primal Chaos City leader brought Luo Feng to one of the many universe secret regions of the human domain, the Primal Region. Deep within the Primal Region, the Thousand Treasure robe that the city leader was wearing flew into the air, instantly turning into an endless torrential river, revolving around the surrounding space, surrounding the palaces. River. Luo Feng looked at the endless river that hung in space. The Thousand Treasure River can transform into many forms. This vast river is its true form. The primal Chaos City leader pointed at the endless Thousand Treasure River. Luo Feng, your teacher was able to easily suppress the Sky Wolf leader because of this Thousand Treasure River. Treasures like this are the pillars of our human race. Your luck is not bad, who knows, you might even be able to acquire treasures comparable to the Thousand Treasure River. Your disciple will definitely work hard. Luo Feng replied. P.S. First chapter has arrived. Tomato overestimated himself. He only finished 1 chapter at 3 o'clock. Sweat, to be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for me, your monthly vote, your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 962. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng's expression and couldn't help but laugh. Then I'll wait and see. The Thousand Treasure River was one of the top treasures. Even the pinnacle of the universe lords couldn't get their hands on such a treasure. He was just casually saying that to give Luo Feng another goal. He didn't expect Luo Feng to so easily acquire a top-level treasure. Teacher, you probably don't know yet. I have 2 treasures under my name now. That calamity armor probably isn't any weaker than this 1,000-treasure river. The Star Pagoda is even one of the strongest treasures in the universe. Luo Feng's thoughts flashed. The primal Chaos City leader suddenly began to swiftly shrink, in an instant, from a planet-like giant to Luo Feng's height. Luo Feng, I have something to ask you. I'll let you make your own decision. The primal Chaos City leader said. Teacher, please speak. Luo Feng said. The 2 of them stood by the side of the 1,000-treasure river, at the edge of the palaces, conversing. True Yen, and you are teacher and disciple too. I have to tell you about him too. The primal Chaos City leader's eyes were calm. He said slowly, in truth, True Yen too trains in the Beast God path. What? Luo Feng was stunned. There are actually many warriors who train in the Beast God path. It's just that they've always kept it a secret. The primal Chaos City leader said, like your generation's most exceptional, you, 7-Blade Emperor, you too train in the Beast God path. Only the Beast God is connected to the Ancestral God sect. The existence of the Ancestral God sect is a huge secret of the universe. Hence, normally when humans train in the Beast God path, it's always kept a secret. Like you training in the Beast God path, it's never been made public. Luo Feng nodded. His training in the Beast God path was indeed a secret, very few knew about it. The reason why I'm telling you all this is because your teacher True Yen trains in the Earth and Space Beast God path. The primal Chaos City leader said. Luo Feng was shocked. Earth and space. Wasn't the Beast God's inheritance token he obtained the Beast God's Tao of Earth and Space? I think you've guessed what I mean. The primal Chaos City master looked at the vast 1,000-treasure river. That 7-sword emperor received a Beast God inheritance token from the clan. With your talent, when you become an undying, the clan will easily approve this decision and give you a token too. But your teacher, True Yen, can't do it. His talent is actually inferior to yours. He has cultivated for too long, and with the guidance of experts in his race, he finally became an invincible Regis Godfiend. It was impossible for him to directly obtain a Beast God's inheritance token from the tribe. His teacher had also applied for it on his behalf, but the tribe had not approved it. If he wanted to get the Beast God's token of inheritance, he could only do it himself. But the universe was vast. How rare was the Beast God's inheritance token? If one's luck is good, even a world overlord might be able to obtain one. If one's luck is bad, even a universe paragon wouldn't be able to find one even if he searched the entire universe. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. And the resources of the race are shared by the entire human race. Even though there are countless treasures within, it has to be given to the most talented, and it has to be discussed by the upper echelons of the race. I do have a way to help your teacher. You've guessed it too, that is, you can directly give this Beast God's inheritance token to your teacher. The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng and said, this way, your teacher entering the inheritance grounds will be a huge opportunity. He has a high chance of breaking through and becoming a universe knight. Of course, he might fail too. After all, his talent is far from yours and the 7-Blade Emperor's. Your training time has been short, yet you're already close to him. Yes, I'll give it to my teacher. Luo Feng didn't hesitate at all. True Yen treated him so well. How could he not return the favor? Wasn't it just waiting until he became an undying to receive the Beast God's inheritance token? He just had to wait a little longer. Anyway, the moment his third body was confirmed and nurtured, then he would step into the undying level. His teacher had already endured for countless years. If he could endure a little longer and give his teacher a huge opportunity, what was that? You've decided, you won't regret it? The primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. I won't. Luo Feng nodded without hesitation. The primal Chaos City leader nodded. I'll give that beast god's inheritance token to your teacher. However, you don't have to wait until the undying level to enter the inheritance grounds. I'll help you apply to the clan. Even though normally you have to reach the undying level to receive it, I believe the Sky Wolf leader will definitely announce the news of the Blade River Emperor. Sky Wolf leader? Luo Feng was stunned. The Blade River Emperor is actually a sector lord. This news will definitely be announced by him, and he'll even spread the news. The moment it spreads, if a sector lord is already this strong, what will happen? The other pinnacle clans will all have their eyes on you, wanting to assassinate you. The Primal Chaos City leader exclaimed, Our human clans will naturally know too. I've always helped you hide your identity as the Blade River Emperor. Even the upper echelons of the clan don't know about it. However, very soon they will find out. I'll use this opportunity to help you apply for the Beast God's inheritance token. Since your strength is already comparable to the 7 Blade Emperors, then the most basic requirements of the inheritance grounds should be something you can at least pass. The Primal Chaos City leader smiled. Even though there are dangers within the inheritance grounds, however, that's just the process of elimination and danger. There definitely won't be any assassinations from the other clans. After all, that's an important area of the ancestral god sect. No one would dare go there to assassinate you. Hence, the beast god's inheritance token will very likely be approved. However, I'm not 100% confident. This is the entire clan's resource. I can at most lead the Virtual Universe Company's faction. When the time comes for the upper echelons to discuss, there's a chance the request might be rejected. After all, the usual practice is for the undying level to enter. The Primal Chaos City leader said, I can only say there's a 50% chance. Thank you, teacher. Luo Feng said gratefully. Blood brothers would still have conflict. The 5 great human clans would naturally have their own infighting. The clan's resources didn't belong to the Primal Chaos City leader himself. One could imagine the difficulty. The more dazzling you are, the more confidence your teacher will have to fight for resources for you. The Primal Chaos City leader smiled, looking at Luo Feng before him. He was very satisfied within, even though from their daily interactions, Luo Feng's growth. He had already deduced Luo Feng's personality. However, when Luo Feng didn't hesitate to gift the Beast God's inheritance token to Tru Yen, it still made the Primal Chaos City leader very happy. Obviously, Luo Feng was grateful. Respected teacher. The human Blade River Emperor was a sector lord. This news was like a sudden clap of thunder, shocking countless experts. This news spread at a terrifying speed. Almost within a day, many experts of the human race knew about it. Almost everywhere in Hong Meng City, people could hear the discussions of Blade River King from the titled Undying Kings. The Blade River Emperor is actually a sector lord. He can easily kill an emperor-level warrior. He's actually a sector lord? Can a sector lord be that strong? Impossible. That's impossible. The news is definitely true. The demon race and automaton race have all put out a public bounty, just to kill this Blade River Emperor. If the Blade River Emperor was a sector lord, how could so many warriors not recognize him? The energy of a sector lord and the energy of an undying are 2 completely different things. It's long been said that the Blade River Emperor acquired a treasure. Treasures are all able to hide one's energy and release a certain amount of pressure. Treasure? The Blade River Emperor has a treasure? The Knights of the Universe are all madly fighting for it. Crazy. The news spread like wildfire. Saber River King is a boundary master. Saber River King has a supreme treasure. These were enough to make countless powerhouses go crazy with jealousy. Just the appearance of the sealing star had caused such a huge commotion. It could be seen just how shocking and terrifying the allure of a supreme treasure was. If the Blade River Emperor is a sector lord, then which sector lord is he? He's so heaven-defying and terrifying, even more unbelievable than Ku Di in history. It's very likely that it's that Luo Feng, that Luo Feng is humanity's most heaven-defying sector lord of this generation. He's already passed the sector lord level primal sky mountain. He's even more powerful than Ku Di and other geniuses. From what I see, it's not Luo Feng, but a hidden absolute genius of humanity. This genius is even stronger than Ku Di and Luo Feng. Hence they hid his identity, giving him the identity of the Blade River Emperor, and even giving him a treasure to hide his energy. There are so many geniuses? Luo Feng is already an absolute genius that appears once in 10 million eras. Who knows, this Blade River Emperor's true body is one of humanity's most heaven-defying geniuses, even stronger than Ku Di and Luo Feng. I still think that the Blade River Emperor and Luo Feng are the same person. Such a genius, why would he remain hidden and unknown? In the vast universe, trillions of races, at least in the last 10 days to half a month, most of them had received news of the Blade River Emperor, causing his name to spread throughout the universe, to countless warriors. The trillions of races all knew, the Blade River Emperor was a heaven-defying genius that humanity nurtured. As for who his true body was it Luo Feng? It was just a suspicion. However, many warriors suspected Luo Feng. Because of all the sector lords humanity could find, only Luo Feng had the ability. Dad, are you that Blade River Emperor? A few of the super families in our Ganwu universe country, when discussing business, they all talk about this Blade River Emperor. I've even heard, some are guessing that the Blade River Emperor is you. Virtual Universe Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay Little District. Luo Feng was eating with his family, when he was questioned by his sons Luo Hai and Luo Ping. I've heard many discussions in Yuxiang Mountain too. Su Xian looked at Luo Feng. Don't ask too much. Luo Feng said softly. Luo Ping and Luo Hai immediately laughed, because if it wasn't, their father would have rejected it long ago. Wow, Dad, you're too awesome. Luo Hai stared wide-eyed. Luo Feng was helpless, looking at his two sons. Remember, don't tell anyone else. Understood. We know the severity of the matter. Luo Ping and Luo Hai replied, simultaneously getting more excited. No matter, even though the Blade River Emperor wasn't the pinnacle of the universe, at least he was already famous, and would leave his name in the history of the entire universe. Many warriors trained and fought, didn't they all seek to be able to shake the trillions of races? Luo Feng, however, used the demon clan to push the waves and achieve this goal. This is just the beginning of my rise. Since you've pushed me to where the wind and waves are, it will only make me stronger. The demon race, you all will eventually miscalculate. Luo Feng thought. P.S. Update complete. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 963. The ancient primal chaos city was as peaceful as it had been for billions of years. The three purple-robed messengers walked on the streets, quickly arriving in front of Tru Yan's residence. It's the city leader's purple-robed messengers. The purple-robed messengers are here. The disciples in Tru Yan's residence were all shocked. The city leader's most commonly seen black-robed messengers, purple-robed messengers were very rare. For them to actually come to Tru Yan's residence, it seemed like it wasn't a small matter. Quick, hurry and report to teacher. Report to teacher. After a while, Tru Yan personally came out to welcome them. He waited outside the hall, full of curiosity. 3 purple-robed messengers from the city leader's residence actually came at once. Even if there's something, normally they would just send a black-robed messenger. Why did 3 purple-robed messengers come? Tru Yan, the leading purple-robed emissary, smiled. Congratulations! 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 The other 2 purple-robed messengers smiled too. Congratulations, I wonder what's the matter? Come, everyone, please sit. Tru Yan led the 3 purple-robed messengers into the hall. At the same time, there were disciples who immediately served them wine and fruits before leaving obediently. They knew that they couldn't interfere with some important matters. Only the 3 purple-robed messengers and Tru Yen were left in the hall. Great news! The tall purple-robed messenger was full of smiles. He flipped his hand and a metal box appeared. So mysterious! Tru Yen smiled as he received it. Pata, he opened the metal box. Within the box there was a 6-sided stone tablet. On it was a roaring beast god statue. Tru Yen was stunned. His hands trembled as he picked up the hexagonal tablet. Almost instantly, his eyes turned red. His fingers lightly touched the beast god statue, as if he was worried that it was just an illusion. His voice trembled as he said, "The beast god's inheritance token, it's the beast god's inheritance token. How long has it been, how long has it been? I've wanted it but I couldn't get it." Tru Yan's body was shaking. Finally I have a chance, finally. For a long time, he had been stuck at the last step. Although the beast god's token of inheritance could help him, obtaining it was too difficult. There were very few beast god inheritance tokens in the entire universe. After all, they represented the most special inheritance of the ancestor god sect. The entire human race probably only had a few of each kind of inheritance token. Furthermore, the human race still had to plan for the emergence of peerless geniuses in the billions of eras in the future. Without sufficient talent, it would definitely not be bestowed directly. Unable to obtain the inheritance token, he didn't even have the slightest chance to think of a way to break through the final step. However, that final step was like a heavenly moat obstructing him. Actually, this final step also troubled countless formidable martial artists in the universe. Many peak stage and limited stage king-conferred martial artists had already reached this final step, but how many of them could become supremacies of the universe? Zhen Yen thanks Primal Chaos City leader. Tru Yen suddenly knelt down with a thud, his eyes filled with excitement. Thank you for the clan's generous gift. Tru Yen will definitely do his best through this inheritance and reach the universe supremacy realm in one go, not letting down the clan's expectations. Tru Yen, hurry up and get up. The tall purple-robed emissary jumped in fright and hurriedly went to help Tru Yen up. The clan actually bestowed me the beast god inheritance token, Tru Yen. Tru Yen was incomparably excited. It wasn't bestowed by the clan, it was given to you by your disciple Luo Feng. The tall purple-robed emissary said. Tru Yen was stunned. You mean, it's your disciple Luo Feng? The tall purple-robed emissary said. I was originally serving the Primal Chaos City leader in the Primal region. This time, the city leader personally ordered the 3 of us to come over and give this to you. As for Luo Feng, he's still in the Primal region with the city leader. How does he have the beast god inheritance token? Many emotions surged in Tru Yan's heart. There was excitement, gratitude, doubt, and anxiety. He thought to himself, this disciple of mine also cultivates the beast god's Tao. With this beast god's inheritance token, he could easily exchange for another beast god's inheritance token with the other tribes. He went to receive the beast god's inheritance himself. Why would he give it to me? No matter how good the relationship between master and disciple was, the strong warriors of the universe would always try their best to raise their own strength. Things that weren't important to oneself, to be able to give it to the teacher was already a form of respect. Tru Yen, you've accepted a good disciple. We won't stay any longer, we'll return to report. The tall purple-robed emissary saw that Tru Yen was about to send him off and said, No need to send me off. Following which the 3 left, leaving behind Tru Yen, who was filled with excitement and unease. As the saying goes, gifts that are too heavy can burn one's hands. Holding the beast god inheritance token from his disciple made his hands feel hot. Even though it was something he yearned for. Tru Yan's consciousness connected to the virtual universe. First, he used 10 consecutive messages to rush Luo Feng, after which, he immediately arrived at Yuxiang Mountain Luo Feng's villa. Luo Feng, Tru Yen shouted as soon as he entered the manor, causing many of the servants and guards in the manor to be extremely puzzled. Teacher. Luo Feng walked out of the hall. Follow me in. Tru Yen grabbed Luo Feng and entered the hall. The moment the two sat down, Tru Yen anxiously asked, "Where did the beast god inheritance token come from? Was it given to you by the clan? Don't tell me you don't know how important it is to you? You too train in the path of the beast god. How can you give up such an opportunity to your teacher?" Even though I, Tru Yen, have always wanted to get this token, however, to use my disciple's future to exchange for my own, I can't be at ease. My heart as a strong warrior isn't stable. Even if I accept the inheritance, I'm afraid I'll fail. Teacher, don't be anxious. Luo Feng said, "This wasn't given to me by the clan, I got it myself." You got it? Tru Yen was shocked. That easy to get? How could the beast god inheritance token be so easy to get? After all, as long as a strong warrior discovers it, he would be able to infuse his god energy into it and know its importance. Usually when he doesn't need it, he would immediately send it back to the clan. This resulted in the vast universe. Most of the inheritances that were passed down were monopolized by the clan. I really got it myself. Luo Feng said, "Think about it, I gave it to you through the city leader's residence. If it was given to me by the clan, even the primal chaos city leader teacher wouldn't allow me to do it." Tru Yen nodded, that makes sense. The primal chaos city leader wouldn't just watch you do whatever you want. Even if you insist on doing it, the city leader would order someone to inform me. Teacher, you can use it first. It's not hard for me to get the inheritance token from the clan. Luo Feng said. With the strength you've displayed, the clan will definitely value you. Even the Seven-Blade Emperor was given the token. Even if he's weaker than you will definitely be able to do it. Tru Yen nodded and frowned. However, to get it, you'll have to wait until you become an undying. That's equivalent to delaying your acceptance of the inheritance by a long time. Teacher, don't worry. Luo Feng laughed. Teacher, don't forget. I'm the Blade River Emperor. My strength is already sufficient. Also, the Primal Chaos City Leader teacher personally helped me apply for the token. He said that with my talent and his face, it's a 100% success. Tru Yen exclaimed, "The Primal Chaos City Leader, that's the person in charge of our human virtual universe company." He pushed for this, saying it's a 100% success is definitely true. Haha, Luo Feng, I've really taken advantage of you this time. Small matter, small matter. Luo Feng laughed. In the depths of the primal region, the rumbling thousand-treasure river flowed majestically in space. In the center of the many palaces, Luo Feng sat at the top of one of the palaces. He sat crossed-legged and gazed at the distant endless river. Luo Feng, today is the appointed day for the discussion. Whether or not the beast god inheritance token is approved will depend on today. If it fails, you'll have to wait until you become an undying before applying again. The primal chaos city leader's words from before resounded in his ears. Let's hope it succeeds. It will definitely succeed. Luo Feng sat crossed-legged at the top of the palace, anticipating. The inheritance grounds, the ancestral god sect's important grounds. I really can't wait. Time passed. This made Luo Feng anxious. However, he knew that at this time, the highest echelons of humanity were discussing this matter. Virtual Universe Company, Huge Axe Dojo, Universe Mercenary Alliance, these 5 powers had all gathered. Would Luo Feng's matter succeed? Would they occasionally make an exception for him? After a while, Luo Feng. A calm voice resounded. Luo Feng turned fiercely. Behind him on the roof of the palace stood the Primal Chaos City leader wielding the mottled stone rod. This made Luo Feng's heart tremble. Looks like the discussion had ended and there was a result. Teacher. Luo Feng stood up and bowed. The discussion has ended. Looking at your expression, I can tell you're anxious. The Primal Chaos City Master said, Relax, it's good news. The application has already been approved. The exposure of your identity as the Blade River King has indeed shocked those universe masters of my race, and they have high hopes for you. Your master didn't have to spend too much effort. Luo Feng was immediately overjoyed. How would he believe the primal Chaos City leader's words? Behind the scenes, his teacher had indeed put in a lot of effort. Thank you, teacher, your disciple will definitely work hard and not let you down. I won't let the other universe lords down. Luo Feng said. Haha, as long as you don't let humanity down. The Chaos City Master laughed heartily. The Beast God Inheritance Token will be delivered within these 2 days. I have already sent a message to Zhen Yen to come to the primitive mystic region. When the time comes, he will meet up with you. The two of you will set off together towards the ancestral god church's inheritance ground. Yes. Luo Feng was filled with glee. The human race's efficiency was extremely high. In just the second day, there were already messengers personally delivering the token. Beast God Inheritance Token. Luo Feng looked at the 6-edged metal plate in his hand. On it was engraved a huge horned lizard beast god statue. This was indeed the beast god statue of Blood River World. However, it was obviously not as clear as the statue Luo Feng had before. It even had the fusion laws infused within. What a mysterious metal, I've never even heard of it before. Luo Feng caressed the 6-edged metal plate. His spirit energy permeated it and information flowed into his mind. It was almost the same as before, even the universe coordinates were the same. P.S. First chapter has arrived. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 964. The day he received the inheritance token, Luo Feng had just told his teacher Tru Yen about it and he immediately left Primal Chaos City, arriving in the Primal Region on the same day. Primal Region, Central Teleportation Area. Dressed in black armor and boots, Luo Feng and the golden-armored Tru Yen flew down from a ship cabin door, landing on the vast continent. This continent had large amounts of teleportation pathways, and using God Country teleportation here, they didn't have to worry about other warriors searching for their God Country coordinate. Teacher, we are incomparably far from the inheritance grounds. Luo Feng asked, do you have any items closer to the inheritance grounds? The closest item to the inheritance grounds is also 1 billion light years away. Tru Yen said. That far? Luo Feng was shocked. No matter how fast a ship was, it would still take over a year to fly in the dark universe. I have a servant's item that's much closer. Taking a universe ship would take half a year to reach. Luo Feng said, after which he waved his hand and beside him appeared a foreign race being covered in scales. Its face was covered in a purple membrane. This however attracted the attention of the other human warriors on the continent. That's Tru Yen Emperor. Tru Yen actually left Primal Chaos City. How is that possible? He really came out. Who's that beside Tru Yen? A black armor. Could it be the Blade River Emperor? The rumors say he's Luo Feng. This possibility is very high. Look at that black armored man's relationship with Tru Yen seems to be very good. One has to know Luo Feng is his disciple. We've never seen this black armored man before, his aura is so strong, it's very likely he's the Blade River Emperor that kept his wings treasure. Even though the discussions were soft, the human warriors didn't mute their voices, obviously they wanted Luo Feng to hear and see his reaction. Luo Feng and Tru Yen glanced at each other. Their guesses are really accurate. Tru Yen communicated, his eyes gleaming with ridicule. Disciple, your reputation right now isn't just a little bit big. It's not weird that they guessed. Many guessed the Blade River Emperor is Luo Feng, and the rumors say my treasure is the Silver Wings. Luo Feng communicated helplessly, and there are only so many strong warriors in the human race. Most of them know each other. Suddenly someone they don't know popped out, and he's so close to you, teacher, and my build is similar to that of an Earth person, it's not weird for them to guess. Haha, you're in a lot of trouble. Tru Yen teased. Who cares, being famous isn't necessarily a bad thing. Luo Feng looked at the servant beside and ordered, God country transfer. Yes. The foreign race servant immediately activated the God country's teleportation. 1. A jade blue ocean like hazy light enveloped the surroundings. Luo Feng and Tru Yen, who were enveloped by this light, could vaguely see that this light was connected to the other end of the tunnel. That was the God country of the foreign race servant. Whoosh! Luo Feng, Tru Yen, and the foreign race servant simultaneously vanished. Using the Divine Kingdom as a transit point, they soon arrived at a secluded place far away from the human domain. It was a star in a remote region of the universe. This servant of yours is interesting, hiding the token inside the star. There are countless stars in the universe, and they're so huge, with such strong energy ripples, it's indeed a good place to hide the token. The teacher and disciple, a gold light and a black light broke through the space and flew out of the star. Disciple, what's the maximum speed of your ship? Tru Yen asked. The maximum speed in the dark universe is 72 times light speed. Luo Feng said helplessly, I originally had a life ship that could travel 80 times light speed, but it was taken away by that night. You're ruthless, to be able to offend the knight Qing Fu Ko. Tru Yen shook his head and laughed. The two of them had chatted for a long time in the primal region when they met. Tru Yen had asked Luo Feng how he obtained the Beast God inheritance token. Luo Feng had roughly explained it. Even though he hid some important information, Qing Fu Ko Knight had told him directly. My ship, however, has close to 90 times light speed. Tru Yen laughed. Haha, I finally have something to be proud of. Close to 90 times light speed? Luo Feng was shocked. Tru Yen waved his hand. A streamlined spaceship appeared in the starry sky. At first glance, it looked like a shuttle, and its entire body was dazzling gold. Master. The golden shuttle ship spoke, you've finally used me. It's been so many years, I haven't been able to fly to my heart's content in the dark universe. This is a metallic life form. Tru Yen smiled and explained, ever since I entered Primal Chaos City, I haven't brought him out in so many years. Let's go in. The cabin door opened. Luo Feng and Tru Yen entered the shuttle ship, after which it became a beam of gold light, its speed swiftly rising, quickly reaching light speed and entering the dark universe. After entering the dark universe, it madly accelerated, its speed constantly rising, 89 times, 90 times, 91 times, oh, there's no way to accelerate anymore, ha ha ha, it's over 91 times light speed. The metallic life form's happy voice resounded within the ship. He, the master has come out to explore again. It's too lonely, too lonely. A cute girl's head appeared on the control panel of the ship, calling out, Girl. Luo Feng, who was sitting on the sofa holding a glass of wine, spat it out. Tru Yen stared, shouting at the control panel, wasn't she an old man before? Suppressing it for trillions of years, turning from old to young, male to female, can't I do that? The living AI called out. Ha ha. Luo Feng, however, laughed out loud. Teacher, teacher, you've suppressed the living AI for so long, it'd be weird if nothing changed. Tru Yen shook his head, staring angrily. Interstellar travel is very boring, and the scenery of the outside world is always the same. At the beginning, Luo Feng was still chatting with teacher Tru Yen, but after getting drunk, the two of them returned to their respective cabins and started to meditate. Even though the speed of the ship is very fast, it will still take 4 months to reach the land of inheritance. Within the cabin, the Masha clansman was in the cabin, while his earth body returned to the internal world to train the 9-level manuals. Within the internal world, on the endless grass plains, a gentle breeze blew, causing the countless blades of grass to bend. Luo Feng looked up at the distant majestic golden-horned beast. The third metal plate of the 9-level manuals, I've really gained a lot. Luo Feng was filled with glee. Back when he acquired the first 2 metal plates, He only received the first, second and fifth level manuals, the other 6 levels were all empty. However, after acquiring the third metal plate, he managed to complete the third and fourth level. That way, Luo Feng could continuously train 3 levels in one go. The first level is when my genes reach 3 times my original level. The second level is 6 times, the December 3rd times, the fourth 24 times, and the fifth 48 times. Luo Feng looked at the distant golden horned beast. During the 2,000 years he was trapped in the ice prison, the golden horned beast had long since completed its training. However, as it trained, Luo Feng discovered a huge problem. The golden horned beast's genes were already very strong, 10 times that of a human's. Right now, it was training the first 5 levels of the 9-level manuals, causing this golden horned beast to be 480 times that of a human's. This was an extremely heaven-defying number. Many special life forms weren't as heaven-defying, whether it was the Banku or the Silver Eye, they were only about 100 times that of a human. 480 times, that's heaven-defying. Luo Feng exclaimed within. Which means that when I become an undying, a normal human emperor-level god body's limit is 100,000 sector lord level, however the golden horned beast can easily reach 48 million sector lord level. Many special life forms aren't that strong. A special life form was normally about 100 times that of a human's genes, even the weakest had to be 10 times that of a human's. Very few life forms could exceed 500 times. Extremely rare could exceed 1,000 or even 1,000 times. The more heaven-defying one was, the rarer their numbers were. And the weaker life forms had more numbers, like the Banku, on the other hand, like the beast god and mountain guest's god body, they were simply too heaven-defying, they were the only ones in the universe. I guessed that as the life form's genes get stronger, the blood river energy's effects would decrease. Luo Feng exclaimed within. Back then the blood river energy could make my right claw 100 times stronger, and my entire body 10 times stronger. However, the blood river energy isn't omnipotent after all. It can strengthen humans, it can strengthen the golden horned beast. However, can it strengthen a life form like the beast god? The blood river energy was originally the essence energy of the beast god's blood. Luo Feng thought. When one's body's genetic level was low, the blood river energy's effects were very obvious. However, against a life form like Mountain Guest, against a unique and heaven-defying life form in the universe, the blood river energy would be useless. The same logic. The golden horned beast trained in the unique 9-level manual, it was already comparable to a special life form, reaching 480 times the genetic level. When the golden horned beast activated the blood river energy within its body, it was still effective, however it was obviously much weaker. The golden horned beast's right claw is still very strong, however it's only equivalent to 2 times his entire body's strength. Luo Feng thought. Back then it was equivalent to 10 times his entire body's strength, now it was only 2 times. And ever since he completed the 3rd level, Luo Feng realized that his right claw's strength had reached its limit and couldn't be raised anymore. The 4th and 5th level couldn't raise his right claw's strength at all, it had already reached its limit. The moment I activate the blood river energy and increase it by 2 times, the golden horned beast's body's genetic level will exceed 1,000 times. Luo Feng thought. This is extremely rare even among the special life forms, I should be satisfied. I'll continue training. The 9-level manual is indeed a technique that requires a sky soul crystal to withstand. However, it's still restricted by the universe laws, a technique that only one can train in. As his training got stronger, the 9-level manual's strength began to show. 4 months later. Disciple, we're about to reach the inheritance grounds, quickly come out. Tru Yan's voice resounded. The inheritance grounds, he had reached. P.S. Chapter 17 has ended. Tomato will rest for a day. The day after tomorrow I'll start the 18th chapter update. Due to the many late updates this week, I've already missed 4 chapters. Tomato will slowly fill in the gaps in the next week, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation.